And we're back. Welcome back to another episode of the FNtasia podcast. We are here with episode 34, I believe. We are stuck in. End of the year's wrapping up, Christmas time soon. So all the Christmas joys. You can see Boop's got his lovely tree in the background.
It's been there for weeks, mate.
Nobody was paying attention though.
They're just looking right here, of course.
We got the full cast here as well. Everybody's on it today. How's everyone feeling? Everyone good?
I'm chilling. I didn't realize we were just getting straight into it there. And as the countdown started, I had a ton of tea cake, and I just shoved the entire thing into my mouth to try and eat it quickly. So managed not to cough and die as you did the intro to the show. But outside of that, cracking.
Yeah, it was a sight to see.
The podcast is finally older than our members now, so like we're finally advancing somewhere.
True, that's a great point. That is a great point. Very old. Well, we've had a bunch of things happen this week because they've crammed a million tournaments into one week before the Christmas break, and of course we had the release of Ballistic, which we were all hyping up so much. So I want to know, have you guys played some Ballistic? What are we thinking about Ballistic so far?
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Whoa, hold on. I've had a chillin'. We've had a ooey, and then Boop's gone with an unfortunately. I think we gotta look to Boop here to start us off with this unfortunately. Yeah. What's the unfortunately in this?
Unfortunately, it's not killing Valorant anytime soon.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Valorant will have to survive for another few years, and all the single gamers will be able to find love on there. From what I've done a lot of investigating. Right, I've played it. I watched the tournament last night, and it doesn't. The gameplay is fun. That's the main thing I want to say. The gameplay is fun. Like, I'm enjoying playing it. Like, it's a quick 50-minute little rank session, a competitive session. That's I'm having fun with. The problem is, the gameplay is also shit. When you shoot your gun, it doesn't feel satisfying. You shoot a gun, the bullet goes to Narnia, it goes this way, it goes that way, even when you're standing still. Now, we talked about this a little bit last week with like strafing and like how CS and Valorant mechanics work. Fortnite has none of that. It feels very random when you aim, and you can even see that when I was watching the mod tournament yesterday. It was a 20k cup. When pros are having their crosshair on someone's head and someone isn't dying or like it doesn't work, then there's a problem with it. So I think it requires a lot of work to make it actually like a sustainable sort of competitive mode.
Yeah, I don't know if I fully agree with that side.
I mean, I just wanted to say that I think it is just a bit mid. It's just a bit mid. Like, it's just, basically what you're saying, Boop, is it's fun to play for a little bit, but at the highest level, it's nowhere near Valorant or CSGO. At all.
I agree.
I was going to say, like, firstly, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know about aiming at heads and not hitting, because, like, it's more like the counter strafe ability sure isn't really there, but if you're standing still, you're 98% accurate. If you're aiming down sights, you gain like another 70%, or I can't remember what it is combined or whatever. So it's like you have an almost 100% accuracy if you're standing entirely still. I'm not sure if like I'm yet to have a situation. I've played a lot of it so far. Mainly with some of my IRLs who play Counter-Strike, and they're enjoying it, which is fun. But when I've not really had a shot where my crosshairs exactly lined up when I click it and it doesn't hit. I haven't really seen that either. I've just seen it where players are not able to get to like standing still quick enough. Like, I think the problem isn't that the aim doesn't work, it's the fact that, say, like a jiggle strafe or jiggle peeking doesn't work to that point where it doesn't reset quick enough. If you are actually standing still, you have almost 100% accuracy. So like, I think it's more the fact that they need to add some sort of like reset mechanic while you're jiggling to make sure you can actually move. But if you are standing still like a bot, like, you're getting that aim.
You're not incentivized to stand still. It's hard in this game mode.
Yeah, 100%. Outside the fact, if you ADS, you have no footstep audio. So like, if you're ADSing and walking around, like just like in normal Fortnite, you're completely soundless.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to stop then because you've got such a slow movement already. So you're like, and then your ADS, which has more like aim sight as well. But that's not a very like fun movement style to always be like ADS walking all of the time. But yeah, I think I agree with you, Harry, where it's like, it's fun to play casually. But from the bits that I saw against the MR tournament last night, it was a bit strange.
It's a bit rough around the edges. That's what I've sort of been saying to a lot of people when they ask me my thoughts on it. It's a bit rough around the edges, but I think there's really good potential there. I've enjoyed playing it. It's fun. I think there's a lot to get into in terms of like the actual experience when playing it in ranked and how terrible that can be sometimes. First things first, this game has zero culture of any sort of game mode like this. And that instantly showed when people just, on day one, people were just running it down. Like they didn't understand that this is a bomb defusal game. Like people were just playing it like a team deathmatch. And then like, you know, or like on day one, day two, if you basically got like up to like plat, then it was the people who maybe have like some brief experience with like a Valorant stuff. So you start to get people who understand it, but then it's like people just didn't care about ranked or anything. So they were just like, I'll just leave if we lose the first round. So most of my games early on were just like 3v5s, 4v5s, sometimes 4v4s. On day two, I played with Mini Miner. And no exaggeration, we were playing a 2v5. And we won, but we were playing a 2v5. And so it's like, you could easily see where people like just don't have a clue. I saw like a bunch of really funny tweets, as always, with anything that comes out in Fortnite. Casual community just going crazy. There was this one clip of someone who's like rushing B site, right? And someone's just like holding the angle of like B long where you come out onto the site, sprayed them down, and they tweeted it like, whoa, what's going on in Ballistic, man? Like, what's happening in this mode? And like, they were so baffled, I guess, that somebody was holding an angle.
Yeah.
and like all the people in the comments were like, yeah, that's like how this game works. And like seeing them replying to all those replies, like, oh, I didn't know. I thought you just run it down. You know, that's what I was doing before when it was working. And I'm like, oh my God. But outside of like some of the things like that, like in terms of experience, I agree with a lot of what you guys say. I did watch the Amar tourney last night and I had a really good time watching it. I thought it was fun. There were a lot of things that were quite cheesy and corny about it. But again, this may be just me coping. It's an alpha. There's, you know, this is the early access, one map. There's problems with the map that need to be balanced, right? You know, there's aspects of this game that don't work yet. But again, I think there's like scope for them to work. In terms of like the gunplay stuff, I wonder how much we're gonna really see change there. Because that's the biggest problem. Like counter-strafing just doesn't exist. And so people are trying to come to a full stop and it doesn't work. Like we talked about this last week when we were talking about the other games, right? And comparing to Valorant and CS. And I remember explaining how in Valorant, it actually doesn't work like in CS where you counter-strike and you come to a complete stop. But in Valorant, there's more of a stop. So counter-strafing does work. Like you can actually counter-strafe. Whereas in this, it feels RNG, which it shouldn't. Yeah. It's funny because I when like listening to a lot of the comms from different teams, you could tell people still don't actually know what the best way to like shoot is. Like people don't know whether they should be like ADSing more, you know, moving, like how they should be peeking things. Because that feeling just doesn't feel like there should be an intuition. Like you should be able to play and eventually feel what's right. And
unnatural.
Yeah, like and you can't naturally feel what's right. Like it's all good watching like resubs like Short where he's telling you all the Syrian stats.
They're not watching it. They're not watching it. But even stand still, mate.
But even then, like your Short was amazing, Reese. But even then, like it didn't account for the fact that like it didn't address the fact that natural like play that you have, like it, you know, your counter strafing isn't really gonna work still. Because people could watch your short and think, okay, cool, I got a counter strafe and just like stop. That's not gonna work. Because
that's only if you play other tac shooters though.
Right.
If you're an NPC like me and you don't have that muscle memory built up, I'm frying people because I don't have that. I'm like, I know that I need to stand still or I need to like walk slowly in certain angles ADS and certain other ones. So it's like it's actually almost detrimental for the people who are good at other tactical shooters, and it doesn't negatively impact the people who are like trying Fortnite as their first or early tactical shooter, you know, because they don't have the counter strafe and muscle memory built up.
I would even say that it's a tactical shooter though, because the way that it plays out doesn't feel like a tactical shooter, especially in that tournament yesterday, right? Like in ranked, it's just you running down mid and then like flanking people and killing people. In the comp games yesterday, it was basically the strategy for a lot of these guys was impulse onto site, push a site and then like kill everyone, smoke everything off, and then wait for the bomb to play out. And if you're on the defending side, you won't even incentivize to hold an angle because that push out initially is so fast. You throw down a bubble, you impulse through that bubble, and then the all on side, and it's 5v2 or 5v3. So the way that ended up playing was it ended up being retakes. Retakes was the strategy. You wouldn't even play the site because you'd have to wait for your whole team to come through. Otherwise, you're just 5v3 in the whole time. So that's why like the gunplay and like the idea of just stand still, doesn't work because you're not sitting there on an angle holding like a peak. You're sort of hiding, and then if they're pushing towards you, then you're going in there and you're just jumping out. But you can't really do that because people like are sliding across, they're sprinting across. It's a little bit too fast-paced to actually feel like a tactical shooter. It feels more akin to like a Call of Duty, but also not Call of Duty. It's more like Rainbow Six at the same. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a Valorant or CS comparison, at least the way that it's played out so far.
I don't agree with that. I think when you look at the way like the site holds and shit was like playing, at least in the Amal tournament, because the Amal tournament is what we're going to be referencing for a lot of this, because it's like the highest level of competition we've seen so far. I don't agree. Like a lot of the site holds and things were akin to, at least very similar to Valorant, where like Valorant, because of how much like crazy utility there is, like people had to learn to hold sites differently. Like I feel like you're comparing it to CS. When CS, there's a lot more situations where you can like, but like CS is a lot more situations where you can just like sit on the site in like a really nice spot and like hold an angle and have some form of like success there. Even maybe if you get like pop flashed off of your angle, you can maybe retake it. And like, whereas in Valorant, like I remember at least very early on, I've not watched Valorant much this year, so maybe some of these things have changed. So forgive me if you're a Valorant nerd and you're like, well, that's not the case anymore. But Valorant, very early on, there were a lot of like plays where you'd have your jet just dash through into the site like crazy. Or you'd have like a Raze player just fucking use their pads to just fucking, go all the way deep inside and you can't really do nothing. Very similar to what we were seeing people do with the Impulse. I think a lot of the fact that, I think the reason why a lot of people are just full playing retake is because people just don't have good setup. Like they don't know how to set up yet. That to me says, oh wait, this actually is a tactical shooter. Because there's things to figure out here. Because when you look at Veno's team, right, there was a lot of things that they eventually figured out in terms of site holds. Like they had a really good hold on A towards the back end where like Chicho would play up on Heaven, Veno was on site. There was, decent holds on the other side, on B sometimes as well. Like there's things there. Like that's why I feel like this is definitely a tactical shooter. I do get what you mean though, Boop, where like the whole time I found myself like, where does this land? Because you're right, like some parts of it feel like it's more COD leaning, but then it's just not. And then some parts you're like, but this isn't really like a CS or Valorant. Like, it's weird. It's got a weird spot, which might actually
be a good thing.
Yeah, that might be a good thing. Like, it might be better that they aren't just making something that just feels straight like the other game. Like, they're creating a lane here. But I do think a lot is going to have to be, like, put into... Like, a lot of work is going to have to be put into making sure, like, this feels better. Like, especially with just some of like, the basic movement and feel of the game. I feel like certain parts of it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel intuitive. It doesn't feel as satisfying. But
yeah, I mean, you're saying that like it's not like CS or Valorant, but isn't that kind of perfect for Epic? If you think about how you're going to get like younger kids and teenagers, whatever, into a game, into a tactical shooter, having a mix between the two sounds like the perfect balance for them, right? Obviously, there's a lot of things that can change, better map design, things like that can get better, right? But I think having that sort of mix and in the middle between obviously going to the extreme of something like CSGO and then obviously Call of Duty and somewhere in between is perfect. It gets a lot of the younger players playing. They enjoy it a little bit more and then maybe they end up developing it better and then it will become a better mode from there. But I don't think it's actually a bad thing that it's not just as to the extreme of something like CSGO. I actually think it's good that they've got their own sort of like niche area where I think you're going to get a lot of younger people playing.
Yeah, because if it was just like a CS or Valorant copy, people would just be like, well, this is just like CS, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, do I really care for this?
Would this game benefit from not being hit scan?
Yes,
it's not hit scan.
It's not hit scan.
Would it benefit from being hit scan? Sorry, it was.
The amount of times people kill trade is like disgustingly ridiculous. That shouldn't be a thing.
I feel like it shouldn't be. It should be hit scan 100%. Because then that aiming thing doesn't feel as shitty as well, right? Like, does it feel like your bullets feel random because there's instant response on it, which is what maybe that's the difference why it feels so weird with Valorant and CS. Is just your bullets have to travel. Also, sniper shit too. It doesn't feel nice at all with
I hate the sniper.
Yeah.
For most parts, it's like you don't really notice the bullet drop off though. So it's almost just created because like the map's not big enough. The angles you're holding aren't long enough where bullet drop.
No, but
it's not travel time.
It's not the bullet drop though. It's the travel time and like.
That's what I mean. Like even that though, it's like it's such a minimal impact that it's just a bit awkward, right? It's like it does happen, but it's not enough to like make it. Oh, I need to learn this. You know, it's not like you're leading your shots in front of people. You're just still aiming at the character. So it just makes it like slightly awkward. You know, the good thing about bullet drop is long range, right? Like, you know, for 100, 200 plus meters or and stuff like that, where you're looking for surge tags, it doesn't really make that much difference in this kind of like this kind of thing. And the sniper, for most parts, is not. Again, that's actually more just like people moving a bunch with it. Like most of the clips I've seen it's similar where they're like you're ADSing, but like the aim on it is still so inaccurate if you're not just standing fully still. And unless you're because there's still not that many angles where it like isn't entirely just almost instant, you know. But then it does create the trades, which is the problem.
Another really big problem with this game mode, to add on to what you're saying, Reese, and funny enough, the person who I think did the best expose on this was Ninja, our good friend of the show. I don't think he's a friend of the show, but I'm just...
He loves FNtasia,
The desync is horrendous. Like, there are way too many examples where it feels like you are just not... Like, you should be protected by an angle or corner that you're hidden behind, and on the other person's screen, they are just shooting you. And I wish I would have remembered now because I would have got this clip up so we could have watched it. But it happens so many times. I find myself happening where like I'm just dying and I'm like, I swung back behind the corner. Like I shouldn't be dead here. And like you slow down the clips and it's like so bad how the desync is. I don't know if we know what like the tick rate as well is on it. There's just so much that again,
be good.
Like it can't be good, right?
No.
There's just so much where it's just like, I don't know if like this is, you know, I don't know. Like, how much are they going to be able to change about this as well is the problem? Because it might seem a bit harsh. We're here sat here like, like, they just need to change like the movement, the feel, the guns. It's like, how
change
much
everything.
is going to change?
We do know the Fortnite tick rate is 30 in comparison to Valorant, which is 128.
Ew.
I remember it being like a quarter of what Valorant's was. And the thing is, like, this is a massive problem in Battle Royale. It's just that the way that most people play, you don't really notice it. Like, a lot of players aren't, like, swinging back behind peaks all the time, you know, that they'll notice this. But this is actually something I was moaning about in the Cash Cup, because, you know, I made a tweet a while ago where I made a peanut butter edit, and I walked to the left, and I was way behind it by the time I confirmed. But because of desync, I was visible on his screen. The exact same thing happened to me in the Cash Cup, like, this week. But it was like way worse. Like I was almost fully to the left of the box, and he was able to hit me like 150, and then I lost my entire game because of it. And I was like just pissed. And then when I play Ballistic, I'm like, oh, these are the same servers, and the exact same thing's happening, but it's just more frequent because you're always trying to sit on peaks and on angles and try to swing back behind things, but you're always delayed. So the desync always just feels worse. So it's just like a Fortnite problem generally, and I highly doubt we're ever going to see an upgrade to like significantly better servers, because well, I mean, I don't know why, but they've not done it yet. So are they really going to do it in the future just for a ballistic mode? Probably not.
Will be expensive, no?
Yeah.
Oh, I would imagine so. Yeah.
I don't know. From a competitive standpoint, though, I would say like it did tickle like my you know TAC FPS itch a bit watching that tournament. Like I was very like intrigued and like locked in. And so I'm excited to see more tournaments hopefully be ran on this. I think there was another one announced. I think Peach Cobbler's doing one.
20K, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing a tournament. So I hope more people run tournaments on this so we can like just get more like sort of like data, I guess, in terms of like figuring it out. It was also fun watching the Amar tournament because Amar sort of had a bunch of different like people from different games play on this, right? So we had like, you know, people from CS, people from COD, and you know, it was a nice blend to see how people adopted these games. So
it was really fun to see. Those Only Pixels team had JL, which is the major champion, the first major champion of CS2, and the MVP of that major as well. So it was very fun to see JL versus a Fortnite pro, you know? And there was like one instance where Vidil was like mid-map peeking JL, and he just goes fucking shit on. And then Vidil was like, oh, I'm not peeking that anymore. So like, it's very cool to see like the respect between Maybe I don't know if there was respect, but like there's definitely maybe some respect there between the different esports, and it seemed like they were genuinely having fun too. So I think that sort of mixture is very good for this game. Or it kind of feels like those summer skirmish-esque type of tournaments, because like everyone and anyone was going to play it, and like this feels very. It's not hard to get into it unless you're like an 11-year-old Fortnite player playing in my ranked games. Then it's very difficult to learn how to play the game. But for the majority of like streamers and content creators from other games, it's like a perfect little transition to get like communities together, which is huge.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I do feel like there is definitely like a buzz from like people outside, and we sort of like knew that coming in. Like there was a lot of people who were sort of waiting to see if this could be the type of thing that they jump on and get involved in. Do we think people are gonna stick around and like be grinding this and playing this? Like, is this gonna be something that, you know, in a month's time from now? I don't know what the player counts are at now. I think it's like lingers around like 100K. In like ranked
60
and unranked.
and 55K. 60 for unranked and then 55K for ranked.
But the time right now.
No, so that's like the 24-hour peak I'm looking at.
Okay, that's 24
right now
peak.
it's 21K and 19K.
Yeah, okay, that dropped a lot more than what I thought then. What do you think about like, you know, how in terms of like, are people going to keep playing this?
No. No. Because if you're into tac shooters, you're just going to play CS or Valorant. And if you want something less than that, you're gonna, for people coming from outside, like, understand Fortnite kids who are playing it, they'll stick around. If you've played Fortnite and you've started playing it, you're gonna stick around. But if you're someone from CS:GO or CS2 or from Valorant, I just don't see the reason to stay for a game in alpha. If when it gets fully fleshed out and then it becomes a fully fledged game mode, then we might see more people stick around. But in early access, I just don't see the point at the moment.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Where like, it's fun to play. So, like I said, I was playing with some CSGO IRLs, and we enjoyed it. And it was funny because when I went off on Saturday and I came back Sunday morning, I checked and they were back online playing. And I was like, they're having fun. Obviously, like I want to know what the longevity is, because for me, when I load up Fortnite, I'm not like, fuck yeah, let's jump in, play some Ballistic.
Nope.
I'm like, I'd rather do anything with building, or, you know, quite frankly. But I did before the Solo Cash Cup. I jumped in with, which is my IRL as they were playing there, and, you know, using like 50% sensitivity because, you know, using the first person sense. Then when I jump on into builds, I'm like, dang, man, my movement feels so smooth now. Like, I was like, this shit's a great warm up for playing builds, to be honest, which I don't think is the intended, but maybe maybe there's going to be some like first person mode out there at some point. It's going to be like the staple warm up, just to get some nice mouse control before you get building.
So I also think like the current player count, I feel like they slightly messed up on the timing of it, because they released Ballistic during FNCS, like on the day of FNCS. So like a lot of the target audience, I think, for this are competitive players, or people that like competitive, right? So they're going to be warming up for Division 1 and Division 2 and Division 3. So by the time they actually try it out, it's like in a week from now. Then obviously like maybe they're not in the know, or they're not wanting to try it out anymore. It is obviously alpha, so like when they do a big release, maybe they'll come back to it. But I think that take away from the hype a little bit, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and on top of that, I need separate binds. I literally can't play Ballistic properly because the binds clash with what I do for comp, and I can't change. So like, for example, I use Q, I think, for like my secondary. Yeah, my secondary.
I have the same thing.
Yeah, I use Q for my secondary.
Q. I thought you said you. I was like, I had my hand on my, I had my hands trying to do the stretch. It's like, I know you got big hands.
Dang.
No,
I have the same thing.
I use Q for my secondary, and Q is the set bind to, is it buy or something, or what is it?
No, it's scoreboard.
No, it's scoreboard. Yeah, scoreboard.
Yeah.
So I literally can't have anything in Q, because otherwise I'm screwed. Like, Q is my secondary. Yeah, like I can't use the pistol. So I just always put the pistol in 2 and then put my nades in the other slots, and then I just can't use my pistol at all. Like, it's impossible. So yeah, they need to, I would have thought they'd have a separate bind set, because surely somebody, when making this, did think like, this might like hurt people who have building binds. Like,
Epic Games. I'm gonna listen. Someone from Epic Games listens to this podcast. When you put a new feature in the game, make a fucking bind for it.
please.
Jumps, mantling, hurdling, ballistic. Please stop setting them as normal binds. give us an actual button we can change. I don't want to hurdle over a fucking build into someone's face. I don't want to have to get Levin to moan about his scoreboard all the time. If there's a new feature, it needs a bind.
You know what?
It's more annoying, the auto pickup, because you obviously play with auto pickup in tournaments, and you're just walking about and you just pick up someone's shitty gun randomly. You're just mid-fight, and it's so fucking annoying every single time. And I turn it off, then I have to turn it back on for Battle Royale, and it's just get some separate binds. That's all we need.
That's all we really need.
You know what's fucking hilarious is that there's binds for like creative flying, and there's binds for helicopters, and there's binds for like cannons. Like if you scroll through the settings, go all the way at the bottom. That's like items that aren't in the game anymore. That's only in creative. So you can set your bind to fucking fly an X4 helicopter cannon thing, but not like the basic shit that they added to the game. I come on, just add a little profile tab at the top. I can swap from profile 1 to profile 2 to profile 3, and then I'm perfect. And then everyone's happy at that point.
Yeah.
And also, just let me do a wall kick, mate. Let me do a wall kick without mantling. You know?
Yes.
Like if there's a wall and there's no top on it, you will always mantle rather than wall kicking off it. It's like just all these things that have been added, they're really cool. I would love to be able to use them, but I can't. And like if you could set them all as the same bind, like the big problem is controller players, right? So it's like if you can just still intentionally set them as the same bind, that'd be great. But I would like the option to not, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. ESA over.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, that's good. Enough about Ballistic. We'll see what gets changed to Ballistic. I wanted to quickly try a new game. We had the year's coming up to an end. After this week's tournaments, we have a bit of a break because Epic are going on holiday and Christmas and whatnot. And of course, big money has been made this year. Nobody, though, in the competitive space, when it comes to just pure earnings, has made more big money than the one and only Peterbot. Oh, not Resub. I was thinking Resub initially.
Resub, definitely. I've seen the views.
But I want you guys to rack your brains a little bit, because I want to discover whether or not these common things or not so common things are worth more than how much Peterbot has made from competitive Fortnite this year.
That's good. That's good.
So, what's worth more?
You're not telling us how much he's made.
I'm not telling you how much he's made, but you should know roughly. I feel like you guys all roughly know how much he's made.
Have an idea, yeah.
Which should help when comparing to some of these things. So, first things, what's worth more? Peterbot's earnings in 2024 or Clix's complete career Fortnite earnings? Just from competitive events.
Oh wait, that's close.
actually really close, because I know the number.
I don't know Clix. I know Peterbots. I'm 100% I know Peterbots this year, but
I'm going Peterbot. I think I'm going Peterbot.
I'm going Clix. Is worth more.
I'm going Peterbot.
I can reveal that if you said Peterbot, you are correct. Peterbot has made more from just competitive events this season, or this year, sorry, than Clix in his entire Fortnite career.
That's great.
Jesus.
Crazy. What's worth more, Peterbot's 2024 earnings or the cost of buying a 2-bedroom apartment in central London?
That's
Peterbot's earning. It depends which area, man.
No, Central London.
Depends.
It's got to be more than $500,000.
Nah, Peter.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you guys? Is that locked in, Reese? You're saying?
Oh wait, I don't know how much. How much is? I was thinking Peterbot has made like $1 million this year, but now I'm just realizing that's very not true.
No.
Central London flat. Central London flat.
Yeah,
you guys are all going Central London flat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're wrong. And
what?
Okay, is this just Peterbot glazed for like 5 different categories?
So the reason why you're wrong though is because it's a bit of a trick question, because you guys are all thinking like a luxury. So you can find like a shoddy like apartment in Central. You can find like one of them like small like
shack.
Yeah, like them small shacks on Rightmove. Like if you go on Rightmove,
You should show a picture of it at least.
If you go,
we need a picture. How much is this apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time we'll do that. Next time we'll
you
do
could
that.
say the average, though. The average surely has got to be higher.
The average probably is higher, but you can find
so right.
apartments. You can but you can find apartments for less than Peterbot's earnings this year in central London, which is What is worth more, Peterbot's earnings in 2024 or the NBA minimum contract for rookies?
Oh, fuck.
Like the yearly, what they make in 1 year as a rookie.
I know what the WNBA makes for some reason. I thought that's where you were going, but that would be a little bit. I don't know what a rookie makes.
I'm just going Peterbot again. Fuck it.
I think this is just all questions glazing the fuck out of Peterbot. I'm picking Pete.
No, NBA.
Harry's correct. The NBA minimum salary is worth more.
How much is it?
The NBA minimum salary right now is like around 1 mil.
Oh,
in your rookie
okay.
year. Yeah, you make 1 mil.
It was like 100K or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. What is worth more? Peterbot's 2024 yearly earnings or the cost of buying at retail price a Lamborghini Aventador?
Ooh, how much did I pay for mine? No, hold on.
Pete's earnings.
Pete's earnings, yeah.
Pete's.
You're all correct.
There we go.
Pete has made enough earnings to buy a Lamborghini Aventador if he wants to.
And some change.
Almost 2, yeah.
And a bit of change. All right, last one. What costs more? Or what's worth more, sorry? Pete's 2024 earnings or the cost of starting a McDonald's franchise?
Ooh. Pete's earnings.
McDonald's franchise.
A lot of the franchises aren't that expensive. It depends. I don't know.
Because it
about
also
McDonald's,
depends where
though.
you're getting the franchise.
Yeah,
because,
where? Yeah.
I'll go Pete's earnings. You probably found the shit the worst ones.
McDonald's franchise for me.
Reese and Harry are correct.
Yes.
The cost of starting a McDonald's franchise is not actually as much as you'd think. In terms of just the actual franchise fee and like the cost of starting it, it's not. Obviously, you'd have to have the the location, the land, and
other
stuff
bits.
like that. Yeah, other bits. But actually, just to get a McDonald's franchise, not that much. Pete has made around 520K in US dollars. So yeah, he's made a bunch of money this year.
Dang.
Yeah, and on top of that, if he'd been streaming more this year, he'd probably have made triple that. So
yeah,
could have made that this month if you streamed everything. With he has more views than clicks, and he doesn't stream,
he
which is insane.
had more viewers than clicks during this week's Solo Cash Cup, which is
it's like 20K, wasn't it?
He had like 22K, yeah.
It's like are people watching it just because he rarely streams though as well, or because it's like one of those things where sometimes people don't stream that often, they get a massive boost, and then when they start streaming consistently, people are like, maybe
they're not that good. Yeah,
else. That's not they're that good. It's just like maybe they're not that entertaining.
But the problem is that like I don't think it drop off for him because one, he actually is just unreal at the game. So watching him just for watching him is insane. It's like different level. And then like he has like the old trait that all of like the streaming greats had, where like he screams and shouts a lot in like funny moments, enough to where like it's not annoying and you want to keep watching. Like he's like in call with like the best pros, just all flaming them. Like he should.
And he keeps winning. That's the thing. He keeps winning too.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when Tayson used to stream. He used to like spawn in with like 7,500 viewers back in the day at his prime. Like this is double that now, even though the game has slightly fallen off a bit. But
6K of those viewers will be stream snipers as well.
According to Tayson. According to Tayson. All right then. Let's get into some super thanks and then we'll talk some FNCS and other things that have been going on. This week, Benny Cool back again, and he says, yo, I hate Simple Edit because I've spent so much time practicing mechanics, and now people can triple their mechanical skill in like 2 weeks. And now I'm super angry at any Simple Edit. I pray that it does not go into comp. Love you, Levin. Love you, Reese. We're not going to read the rest. Reese, you actually made a tweet sort of asking people their thoughts on adding Simple Edit. And I know you're making a video on this, so I don't want you to spoil too much of the video, but I want to get your thoughts on this first.
So I will want to also get your thoughts in return, because that's why I made that tweet. Basically, one of the questions I had was like, I was thinking like, what is the opinion if this gets added? Now, my personal opinion, which will be part of the video, but I think like Simple Edit is a bit of an overcook. and if they make it good, right? If you end up like if you have like an instant reset, say if they like tune it so that it's good. If you have a way to peak or something, like I think the best players would almost just be too fast. Like it would be ridiculous if you could actually give the best players like that level of speed. There's just some things you can do on it that are just unreal. But again, then at the same time, for the new players, it's really good. So I kind of agree. Like I don't really want simple edit in competitive for that reason alone. And if they keep it exactly how it is, it's okay. But if they actually like tune it to make it like instant reset, then it gets a little bit busted. One thing I was thinking that would be cool though is the way the edits are selected is kind of just a bit of a waste of time, and it seems like inefficient, right? You have to select the tile, you have to then do all of the select the edit, select the tiles, then click confirm. It's just like kind of unnecessarily clunky. One thing I thought would be really cool is if once you actually select this build piece first, then it's like simple edit. So it's like you just press the wall and then you click top right, or then you click bottom right. So it's like it doesn't have the same stupid speed that regular simple edit has, because it would just be, you can't do it as instantaneous as that, but it removes the awkwardness and the clunkiness of normal edit and keeps you with like the ability to scroll wheel and has the ability to peek then as well, because you're just doing it like that. I think if you had that then increases like the skill speed without making it too ridiculous, but whilst also gets rid of the awkwardness of like some of the regular simple edit shit that it's already in now.
I want to answer your question seriously, but I also want to make a joke in that editing is only clunky because we're just boomers and slow.
Yeah, no.
For the youths, they're all like, clunky, mate. I'm fucking flying in my triple edits and creative, mate. It's not clunky. But I know what you mean. There's like a lot of step, like,
it's just unnecessary, right? That's what I mean.
I recently watched an amazing YouTube video by the one and only Resub where he was talking about edit on release, right? And when you listed out like the actions of like doing a double edit on like a cone and floor, like I never realized like almost everyone does that super fast, right? That's not hard to do at all. But it's like 8 or 9 different things that you're actually doing where you're like, that's a lot of steps to just do something that's very simple. Which is why there is an appeal to simple edit, because you're just doing 2 steps of simple edit, right? It's like, there must be a way that they can maybe remove some of the steps. But also, I think a lot of people don't think there should be, because a lot of people think, hey, no, there's still to this.
So what you just said is why I made that tweet. What you just said is why I made the tweet, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, see, the reason I think about this is where I'm like, if editing is what I just said, right? With the made up version, the better version of simple edit, right? If that was the way that it always was from the start, and then someone showed you this tile method where you've got to select all the tiles instead, you'd be like, this is so shit. Everyone would look at this and be like, this is such a bad and like clunky edit. It's so much worse. It makes way more sense to have like the simple edit style of editing. It's more just like, is it way too broken? And I think people are like, you're locked in on the current moment. This is the feel of Fortnite. If you change that, does it ruin it? And that's why I made the tweet, because now I'm in the point where I'm like, I don't know, does it?
So that I was just gonna say, why do we need to ruin the beauty of Fortnite? We've had our editing for a while. We've had the way to edit for a while. Why do we need to change it? I think there's a lot of bigger issues in Fortnite than how we edit a wall. Simple editing, keep it out of common, right? Every 1v1 play in 1v1 is just a simple editor. They got the quickest mechs, edit everything randomly, and it's funny to play against. But realistically,
they just run in your face. You just one pump them every time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, They just think they're just a Peter bar on steroids. But literally, like, just keep. I see no reason why we need to change editing, in my opinion. Like, I like it how it is. I think we are still not even at the skill ceiling. I think edit on release was a nice touch to make it a little bit better for players. But I don't think we need to change it. I just say, just keep it as it is. It's nice. It's fine.
So why is edit on release nice, but a different version of simple edit not nice?
Because edit on release doesn't change. Like, you don't have to go, okay, now I've got now you're getting rid of the whole tile system. And then it's like, we might as well just, once we get rid of the tile system, you're going to, next door, it's going to be, why don't we just go to simple edit? Why does everyone...
But why? Because like, you're like, removing one step is fine. Removing the confirm is fine. But not the select tiles. Like, that's precious. I'm actually just almost like trying to straw man the argument. I'm actually genuinely interested in why that specific mechanic is so like.
I think it's a good skill. I think it's a good skill skill gap. The tile selection and messing up your edits is a thing that happens to obviously us as boomers quite often, and door editing quite often. Yeah, speak for myself. But realistically, I think the whole tile selection thing is a skill gap which is good to have in the game. I think it's fine, and I think it's not something which gatekeeps players, because at the end of the day, you can still have good tile selection without being quick. But I don't think we need to just remove it entirely.
But do you not think selecting edits in a way where it's just less clunky and faster is also then a different skill, because you have to do it faster, and other people do it to you faster, so you have to be prepared to be not get shit on by their speed. And at the same time, you have to make sure you're prepped for those. It's like there's a skill to both in different areas. Where to me, the more I think about it, and the reason that I've actually really struggled to write this video, like it's actually been such a pain. And there's a reason I'm not giving a good answer to this, is because I haven't come up with one yet. I actually sent off the voiceover to Nolar without the end of it, because I've not decided yet. But it's like, you know, it's a new skill and it's a different skill. Is it a worse skill? I don't know. If everyone's, you know, you're removing some of the awkwardness in my eyes. Like, obviously, it's like the fact that you have to fucking swing your mouse around like this to do a top row or something feels unnecessary to me. But then, does that just feel like Fortnite if you remove that? Is that worse? I don't know. That's
it. For me, I think
you go.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I've always interrupted you. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say to Reese, I don't think that takes away from the feel of Fortnite, because I think when you play with Simple Edit, it feels like you're playing Fortnite. You might get like
it does feel like you're cheating, though.
Yeah, I was about to say it feels like it's
different, but that's different though. That's not the same. You still feel like you're playing Fortnite. Like I don't think it takes away from the feel of Fortnite. I think what it does take away from is like there's less depth to it, right? Like Fortnite is beautiful, has beauty in that there is depth to it. Like when you do like a really good edit and you outsmart someone because of it, like that is satisfying. And so you get rid of that. You can still have those moments without it, but you know, that's a part of it. I think the main problem that I have, and if I'm going too far off tangent, let me know. A lot of people talk about how Simple Edit is this way of like introducing new players to editing. And they talk about how Simple Edit shouldn't be in comp because it should only be for new players to learn how to edit. New players aren't learning how to edit. I don't get that argument. Mm-hmm. You're not learning how to edit by doing Simple Edit. Like, it's the reason why, you know, as soon as Simple Edit came out, I said somebody who I know is learning how to build and edit, they were like, should I use it? And I was like, no, you should learn how to edit first, and then maybe try Simple Edit if it's really good. But like, Simple Edit actually is taking away from the learning process of editing. Like if somebody used Simple Edit, just started playing a game, use Simple Edit for the next year, and then had to switch to not Simple Edit because they're trying to learn comp, it feel like they're learning again. Because like there's not an actual direct translation, I think, between what you do when you Simple Edit and actual editing. Like there's so much that's just missing there because they do it all for you. Which is why I think if Simple Editing was how you described it there'd be more of a translation, because you are still like having to pick what you're editing and stuff. Like this is just fully automatic, so I don't think there's a translation there. And that's like the biggest problem
in the context of this question and of my video is that if it was allowed in comp, like that's more the point where, like, you know, if it would say if you could use it in comp, then it is a teaching tool because it's the tool they would be using, and it's just removing awkwardness. Therefore, it makes it a bit easier for those players. Therefore, it's like they're more chance of doing it, right? Like, you ever seen like a 60 hertz console player try to do a double, like a fucking try to do as a top row edit or something like that with no aim assist? Yeah. You know, they're like doing a 360. They're trying to do a 360 round.
Funny.
You know,
it's funny.
Yeah, I know.
Better, like.
So there is parts that where I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to ruin the whole conclusion of my video, but by basically right
like
now,
you don't
like,
have
doesn't. No, I have a part of one, but there's a bit missing. But basically, it's like if you make building worse and clunkier, say by removing turbo edit, doesn't matter. Good players are still the best players. Shit players are still shit. If you make it faster with like if just the fastest simple edit possible, and it's like it becomes the thing, everyone uses it, then the best players are still the best players, and the shit players are still the shit players. If you remove building, the pros are still the best players. So it's like, you know, ultimately it doesn't really matter. But then that's the way with that conclusion. Then I think like things that just make things a little bit easier make a lot of sense. So you go for it.
So for the building tile conversation, I think my reasoning as to why you'd like to keep building tiles is it feels more intentional that you're playing the game, right? Like Harry said, like you feel like you're cheating when you're using simple edits. You actually feel like you're actively participating when you're building and editing in that manner, right? You're intentionally choosing the top edit, and yes, you are doing that with simple edits as well. But like the motion of doing it, you kind of feel you're a little bit more
connected
to the game, right? Like for example, when I run underneath a cone, I duck my head IRL. When I do a top right edit, my head swifts a little bit. You know, not everyone does that, but like you're feeling like you're intentionally playing a part of that game, right? Just looking at the corner and then clicking on it doesn't feel the same way. This is a kind of a bad comparison, but like it's sort of similar to it. In CS, they recently removed jump binds for competitive. So essentially, what that means is when you're throwing the smoke. You have to like jump, and then you have to like manually jump. You used to be able to do that with one button. That's a controversial thing in CS, but like that's sort of similar to here's like, are you removing a skill element that makes Fortnite, or are you making it better for worse players to sort of catch up on the skill gap? That's really the argument here. Is like, what do you want to achieve with simple edit? Are we trying to advance the game, or are we trying to close the skill gap? I don't know. I think that it should stay out of competitive, even though I don't think it's better. That's another conversation. I really don't think it's better, but I think it should stay out of competitive because you're playing Fortnite in the way that it's meant to be if you're doing with tiles. I don't think playing this way is the way that Fortnite should be played. Maybe that's a elitist take, but to get better.
I don't know. Like I fully understand when I hear that take. I fully understand what you mean, and I don't think it's unreasonable. But it does give me very like boomer, nothing should change vibes. Like imagine back when,
in
like,
my day we'd select the tiles.
But like imagine the people talking about like turbo building like this, which people did. You know, at the time I remember very well. People did, but like I don't know. It feels weird.
Different though.
I know it's different.
No, it's actually not though. And I will spoil a part of this video. I hosted $100 solo custom with no turbo building, and it was not that much different, quite frankly. And I think same thing with simple edit. Like say it's like molded again better for competitive, similar to the way turbo building was. It'll just make things a little bit faster, removes a lot of the awkwardness, and like that's it.
It's not,
full stop.
So with your idea, right? Will you be able to like hold edits? Will you be able to like, so for example, like in this, obviously you can hold and select the tiles, and you can hold the edit before you confirm. Would that be in your?
No, but there'd be no point to selecting tiles earlier, because if you're say you're going to do a top right, you select the wall first, and then you just look and click the top right, and that's it. And it's like the crosshair placement, if that's where you're going to go, like, oh, I'd love to hold this edit before I confirm it. You're already safe into a good spot. There's no need to like swing whilst you hold it already. And because the crosshair isn't moving that much already, because you're just holding, like, say if you're going to click on the top right, like if you use simple edit, you'll know how good the crosshair placement on it is already. So like, you know, being able to hold an edit doesn't really make, like, no, you wouldn't be able to answer, but like, I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
The problem that I think is happening here for a lot, and I'm not accusing anyone on this podcast of feeling this way, but I saw it from the replies of your tweet, and I've seen it in general of the simple edit discourse. One of the biggest things that I know a lot of people are feeling when they are against simple edit is that whole aspect of, well, I've spent years learning and trying to perfect this, and so you're just going to take that away. Which is, like, I get that. Like, I personally don't have that much of an attachment to, like, the grind of, like, improving edits. So I don't care that, oh, now some, you know, little Timmy can just come and do the same shit I've been doing for years. But I know a lot of people feel that way. Like, a lot of people are like, you know, oh, but, you know, and a lot of people are, like, projecting it. So they're not even saying like myself. They're like, the pros have been grinding for years and you're just going to take that away from it. And it's like, and I think what you said, Reese, earlier is very important. Nothing would change. I think, in terms of like the disparity between people. Like, the pros are still going to be the best. Like, no, I can't just now be a top player with simple edit. Like, the best players are going to be the best players. The worst players are going to be the worst players.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if everybody was to switch to simple edit? The only thing I think would change is the skill ceiling would still say high. It might even get higher, to be honest, because people can probably do like more crazy quick things. And then, like, the skill floor would just, like, smush up a bit, where, like, the people who are near this bottom layer are just going to be a bit closer together. But you're still going to be better than those people, realistically. Like, I don't know.
So one of before we'll move on because we always talk. Anytime we talk about simple edit, the shit goes on for so long.
Benny's
right? But
getting his money worth here for
he's
$2.
$2.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
no. But the last thing I want to say on this is the reason I made that tweet is because not a single pro has tweeted about it. Vidal said it was shit. Lecce said it was good. Yeah, but like no one's done like a deep message of like, oh, I would never put this in, it would ruin competitive, because fundamentally I don't actually think they care that much because they know they would just be the better players anyway. So I had to make that tweet because I couldn't find any opinions of pros talking about it that much. And you know, if you speak to one-to-one, I'm sure, but like, you know, no one sat and gone, guys, we should never put this in, or not many people have.
I mean, I think ultimately it's like you said, they just know. It's like, remember when Zero Build came out and people were like, I mean, we don't know who the pros are going to be now. It's like,
yes, we do. We do. They have the same thing with Ballistic now too. It's like, I'm going to become a Ballistic pro. Good luck, mate. Good luck.
So I think, as long as like they don't go crazy, most things they change aren't going to change much. What I will say though is I saw Martos. Martos is like the closest thing we have to a pro. He could be pro level, to be honest. Man, that guy's fucking sick. I love Martos. Martos recently tested it for a video and he was singing its praises. In that, like he was like, his conclusion was, I'm not gonna switch yet to it fully because he's similar to you, Reese, where he's actually the perfect person to switch. He doesn't play comp tournaments. All Martos plays is pubs, so he can actually switch to simple and be fine for what he does. But his conclusion was, because, you know, you can't hold the edits and the reset is a bit too slow, like he can't switch to this yet. But he was like, if they were to fix those things, he was fully adamant, everyone would be using this if those things were fixed.
I wonder if people would stop watching Martos if he used it, because like when you watch Martos, like you think about like the very methodical kind of fun play style, like a little bit slower, but like it's satisfying, right? If you swap to simpler, I don't think it would be as satisfying to watch anymore.
So this is part of why I've started to lean more towards the camp of simple edit. It's not that bad. Go and after the pod, go watch that video. Nothing changes. It's still the same on
It's even smoother.
It's actually smoother. Because I think that's actually a really good point. Because you're right. That's like Martos' like USP as like a player while you watch his types of videos, and it didn't change for me. Like it was still satisfying. It still was good. Still those like quirky little Martos-isms. You know, like he was doing like a certain type of peak where like he puts the stare above his head and you just can't like. It was the same. It was just smoother and nicer, and you're like, okay, this actually isn't that bad. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people who hate simple edit think it's worse than it is. I feel like nobody really understands the true level of simple edit because people aren't widely using it, at least at the pro level. Because
the good player, like me and fucking you are trying it. We're like, this is crazy, but we're not saying like Peterbot or something using it. Yeah,
exactly. Like until we see like pros actually using it like on a wide scale, I feel like it'll be harder to actually gauge its significance and its importance.
Yeah,
you should
hence
do
the difficulty of me finishing the video. I was gonna, but you can't use it in tournament mode. So therefore, I couldn't get the server replays. So I was gonna do two. I was gonna do one where everyone uses the simple edit as well, but I can't because it's not in tournament mode. So yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah, I could do a pub scrim and just force all the pros to do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that.
I need replays.
Whoever wants to fund the prize pool, donate. We'll make it happen. You know.
Thank you, Benny, for starting a 20-minute conversation. Agent Gabe.
Fuck simple edit.
Go on, Harry. Go into Send 2 this week because I am curious of the EU boys' opinions. Peterbot was on live and said that him, Poyo, and Cold are better than everyone in EU, but EU's pros for the majority are better than most of NAC's pros. Isn't this what we've all been saying for like...
Yeah, it's literally... It's
literally we said it. Choir game.
That's what we've all been saying like the past year
region
gap.
The region gap is Peterbot, Cold, and Poyo, their own region, and then it's EU and then it's NA. That's what we've all been saying.
Yeah, I feel like this, again, I know for a fact I have literally been saying this the past year and a half for sure, that like the best of the best players are like, you know, especially when you look this year, especially Peterbot in a tier of his own. But on average, like the top EU pros, I think most pros, if you ask them, the average EU high-level pro is better than the average EU or average NA pro. I think that's like...
Easily.
Yeah, I think that's just a like general take.
A scale of
to our region?
Yeah.
What happened to our goats, mate? You know, how Why is someone not just running every single FNCS, you know?
To be honest, if I'm critical of this, if I'm being critical of this, though, I wouldn't actually put Poyo. I would disagree slightly with Peterbot. Like, I don't like Poyo and Cold at their best. Maybe not Cold. I'm a bit of a Cold glazer, though, as we know. But like Poyo and Cold at their best, I think EU has players that match that at their best. You know, like Veno, Vico at their best. Like there's a couple others. Maybe I'm forgetting off the top of my head, right? Like I think we have players that match their level at their best, all like similar-ish. You know, quite good. Peterbot is the one though where like there is just nobody in any region that matches his level. So like yeah, he's better, and then that's it.
Yeah. To take a page out of my boy Kanye West's book here, right? Is if you're playing against the wheelchair basketball team, then you look a lot better. But like all these EU pros, you know, they're playing against the NBA. So of course they're not going to look as good in comparison, right? They're not going to score 105 points against the wheelchair basketball team here. Like Kanye did. So essentially,
can't believe you're ableist. That's crazy, dude.
No, I love people in wheelchairs. First of all, they're the greatest. The greatest. But that is, to be fair, you look a lot better when everyone below you is this much of a gap in between, right? Like I know that NA has good pros and it has like maybe like 3 to 5 good tier 1s. EU also has 3 to 5 very good tier 1s. But then the tier 2 just doesn't exist in NA. Like, you look at, like, some of these people that are filling these Trio Cash Cup tournaments. Who the fuck are these people, you know? It's TTV this, Twitter that, fucking Jimmy John that. Like, you don't know those players. But then if you compare that to an EU final, you see all these names who have, like, top 3 of the Grand Finals before. Oh, they won a Cash Cup, right? Like, those are the tier 2 type of players that they're always capable of winning a Cash Cup. So it feels a lot closer. I even said it the other day on my stream, and now this might be slightly EU biased, but I think NA is kind of boring now. Like, Trios has removed some of the hype from NA because there's only like 3 people that feel very relevant, and the rest of the trios feel very meh. And then on EU, it feels like there's a lot more teams that are fighting at the top, if you look at the top 10, for example.
Are you trying to say that NA wasn't boring when Peterbot and Poyo were winning everything?
No, but it was its own sort of story.
Now
part of it was fun, though.
No, let's not rewrite history. NA was more interesting this year, most of this year, than EU. Yeah. Let's not do that.
I think EU's taking over. I know people are going to say Vico, Veno, Flixi are now dominating us. But, like, you know, we'll just wait. Who knows?
All right, let's see Gabe's number 1 donation, though. He gave another one. We love Gabe over here, man. What a legend.
Big game.
The Victory Royale this week. He said, to put a twist on what Reese said in the OG section, I actually had a theory about OG on day 1. I think they partially brought it back to make all the complainers realize how dookie poo-poo ass the game was. But then they added bots and buff shield, so I don't know if that's the case anymore.
I mean, how much did they actually buff shield? Because what I'm watching, I don't know if you guys watched the
OG Cup, the Lacey Cup,
the OG Cup yesterday. It was funny to watch, but still, no one had shield. No one had anything. But I mean, I don't think they brought it back to make people realize that the game was bad. It's just, it was bad. It's not about like making people realize. It's just people reminiscing on how it was, and it just wasn't as good. I think when OG gets to, you know, season 4 and season 5, people will be having a lot of fun, but I think it's just a lot of people didn't play season 1, so didn't really know. And yeah, I don't think it's down to them. Like a overarching, we want people to know how bad it is, so then they play the new season and have fun on. Like, no, it's not that deep.
That would be a crazy commitment of resources to be like, guys, we need to make something so shit that our other thing looks good in comparison. And it'll be the thing we've already done. Nah, I obviously, intentionally, no. It would be a funny theory if that was the case. It just was not as fun. And, you know, again, as I said, the game's 7 years on since then. It's almost like a lot of those problems have been fixed.
Yeah. It's before we move on, shout out to Gabe for the super thanks as well. Before we start getting into the FNCS talk, I did want to highlight, because we mentioned the Lacey Cup yesterday. Obviously, we've already spoken about the Amar Cup. Cypher PK had his FNCS Winners Cup that he did, or it was just a game, but he had that. We had the Milk Cup last night as well. Yesterday, there was every cup in the world, and it's just because we have this ecosystem where Epic are running tournaments every day except for Monday.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, I want to schedule a tournament. It has to be Monday. And we just had a million things on. But it was kind of fun because it was hectic. Like usually when we have a bunch of different cups on at the same time, usually the problem is the cups are too similar. Like they're all actually the same cup and they overlap. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's usually just trash. But all of the tournaments yesterday were different. It was like 5 different tournaments, but they were all different in a good way. And I actually had a blast watching all of them. So I hope they do another Lacey Cup soon. I think he said he's going to do it every OG season. So for every OG season, he's going to do one.
Every month then?
Yeah, he's going to do one a month, which I think is bloody sick.
Which season do they change the zones to not being just medkit heal-offs?
I think that was around season like 8, 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say near World Cup.
Yeah, they didn't change that for a while. Because I remember because this is back when I played, so I'm like, I know this time.
Back when you were a professional.
Yeah, man. Just off of it.
You and Trippern boys.
I was in all the pro discords, but I wasn't like a pro. Yeah, I was close, but I just had a shit
flexing
PC.
your contacts back in the day.
Yeah, man, back in the day, man, you know, it was a good time back then, man. You guys don't know about them times there, though, but it's fine. All right, well, of course, there was FNCS this week, and it was a big week for FNCS because, you know, it's really when things starting to get serious now. Is our first opportunity to see proper stacked, important trio competition. And even though it really is just a reskin cash cup, it's FNCS branded. So, you know, it matters and people care more and people are trying, and that's what we love to see. So let's talk about it, because on EU and NA, funny enough, results-wise, sort of predictable results, but we didn't quite get there in predictable ways. There was some jeopardy on both sides. When it comes to EU, we'll start there. The winners, Vico, Flixie, Veno, unbelievable win under the circumstances, right? Contested at Magic Mosses, they only played out 3 games and they come first, second, and first in those games.
Yep.
Unreal.
What is this, Malabuka Mustache Chapter 3 again? Like, exact same thing. You know, a stat I've mentioned many times before: lose off spawn every game, win every other one, and this is almost that. Winning 2 of the 3, super impressive. I think it says a lot about the format as well, that like you can win a tournament in 3 games as well. Like, does that say more about how inconsistent other people were, or how consistent they were?
Not really, because if you looked at the other teams were doing well. It just, they weren't dropping 15 and 17 kill wins, you know? Because like, looking at Cammy's matches, I think there was like 5 games all below the top 10 pretty much, all which are like very valid gaming trios, maybe a little bit less, but like there were some top 5s in there, some top 3s, so like Cammy was doing super well. The problem is Vico, Veno, Flixie just had 15 more kills than them in the tournament. Now with 4 points per elimination, that adds up, right?
I was actually just quickly looking at the Cammy and Set Easy Limbs there per game. Like, man, that is crazy. Like, a 5th with 1 elim, a 4th with 2, a 15th with 1. Then they had a win with 13, and then 3rd with 2, and 17th with 3. Like, that is concerning. Concerningly low amount of elims.
I mean, I was going to say about the inconsistency point, I kind of do think it is to do with inconsistency, because you look at the average placement, like, for all teams, the lowest was Cammy of 7.5. Every other team has above a 10 average placement, right? So that shows teams aren't actually getting consistently to endgame, or maybe struggling with Surge, or just the map it is and how they're managing, like, rotating around a lot of the mountains, right? But I think in general, I think it's really, really good that we have like really close competition. Obviously, depends if Vika, Vino, and Flixie are uncontested, right? Because if they are uncontested, then it's a completely different conversation. Because then we're probably looking at a dominant tournament. But I think it's exciting going into the other weeks, and I think you made the tweet about it, Boop. Like, this is the most stacked finals we've watched. If someone told me this was a grand finals lobby, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Hey, if this had been grand finals, holy shit, this should have been so hype. Like, if that was grand finals, especially that last game and them winning it, oh my goodness, it would have been so hype.
Yeah.
Look, it's funny you say that, Harry, because obviously I remember we had a conversation around the start of the season, and you sort of predicted, like, it's going to be, like, quite zone reliant. Like, and at least for the elite teams, of course, in any season that is zone reliant or feels zone reliant, the elite team's always going to figure it out. But generally across the lobby, the results, at least so far, do feel like you know, a lot of teams having success do rely on them having some sort of luck with zones right now. Until teams start to figure things out a bit better, deal with some of those like south zones where they're rotating through the mountains a bit better. Like, I feel like it is going to feel like at least there's a bit more parity, which means we kind of need Vico and Venom to still be contested, because that definitely helps in terms of filling the parity. Before we start talking about some of the other teams and other things that were interesting around in EU, of course, some people might be listening going, okay, you guys keep saying they were playing free. Why did they only play 3 games? Did they disconnect? No, they were contested at the Magic Mosses by Floki, Clement, and Snazy, and it's been a very intense Osborne battle. And so we thought, let's talk to the French side, because we always talk to Vico and Veno, and we always know what's going on their side of things. But the French Fortnite scene, we never really get to talk to them much. So I thought, let's talk to the French representative. So we actually sat down with Leo the Crack, good friends of those 3, the French trio, and got some insight in what they've been up to. Leo, it's a pleasure to have you here, brother. How you doing?
I'm fine. And you guys, how are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
We're good. We're excited to talk to you because, of course, if you guys don't know Leo is one of my favorite people in the Fortnite scene, because not only is his streams incredibly funny, and he also is always with some, you know, cool looking French people at any Fortnite event there is. But Leo is our French representative today, because over in EU, there's been some Offspawn drama, some Offspawn beef between one of the best French trios out there right now, in Clement, Snazy, and Floki, and Vico, Veno, and Flixie. It's a crazy beef at the Mosses right now. Something we've been missing in EU for a while. A good rivalry. And so I wanted to speak to Mr. France himself to get his view on the rivalry. Especially because, Leo, obviously you're backing your French boys, I'm sure. But you're also friends with Veno. You guys went on a holiday last year, you know, so you're friends of both sides. So it's a bit of a spicy one here. So I want to get your thoughts. We'll dig into it first. I know, you know, Boop, obviously you watched it, you know, in your viewing party. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, and your overview on things, because I know you're always involved in any beef there is.
I love a good bit of beef, you know? Like, whenever I can get my hands in it, then it's fine. First of all, it's great to have an intersection now, because we don't really speak to the French side a lot in the Fortnite community. You guys kind of do your own thing, we kind of do our own thing, so it's nice to have some insight from that side. But where do we even start with this beef, you know? Because we weren't even sure it was going to happen, because I think Veno, Vico, Flixie were the first team to move towards Mosses. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah.
I think they were,
They were.
And then Floki's trio decided to go there as well, because I think at the start of the season, a lot of people didn't know that spot was good because of the water boon stuff, right? Let's be honest, you can trade Surge with water boon, so that's why everyone's landed Lost Lake and then Magic Mosses. So that's the context behind it. But what did you think of the finals? Let's start with the finals first. You know, how did that go for you from your side?
I think like French kids don't want like to just let Veno uncon, you know. And that's what they're saying. They just don't want him to be on con, because they're saying for everyone, like for every players in EU, it's just worse for them to have Veno on con, because if Veno because if Veno is conned, they can't win, or they can like they actually can win. They actually can win.
Oh yeah, they still can.
But it's actually gonna be so hard for them to win if they're conned, you know, by a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Snazy, Floki, and Clement want to con them, because they don't want them to win. And they want them to make it more hard for them and just try to also have the best spot in the map, you know? So that's how it started, I think.
I feel like French people low-key just hate Veno. And I feel like this started back with the whole KC stuff as well. When he, like, you know, obviously sort of got kicked off the team for ESL. Is that where this, like, do you feel like, is that fair? So do you feel like the French com just hates Veno?
No, I feel it. Like, I feel like French com doesn't like him. Not hate. I don't think they hate him at this point, but I think they don't like him because, like, and I think it started earlier in the 2024 year when he started contest Snazy.
Oh yeah,
Fencing
even before ESL.
Yeah. So I think they don't like him, but yeah, now even Snazy doesn't like him at all. So they're just gonna, I don't know, it's just gonna be like an infinity contest, you know, between these two kids. So Veno is my guy, but I don't know, I support French kids.
I mean, Veno is your guy, but you know, you've picked your side in the beef.
Of course, I did. But it's just nothing against Veno, nothing against Vico, or even Flixi. But like sometimes you have to choose a side. France doesn't get respected that much in Fortnite community, so I have to make it more respect for them. So I'm trying to support them. I'm trying to be with them. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I mean we all sort of support our own countries. Always want the UK lot to do well. So I will have my bias, but yeah, I think obviously the main talking point I think is the fact they contested, but Vino still won. It wasn't like they contested and as you're saying they don't want Vino to win, all this sort of stuff, right? Does that kind of change the way they're going to go about it when it comes to contesting off spawn? Do you think they're going to try and fight more? Do you think they're going to just try to split and grief more? Like, what do you think is going to change going into next week?
I think last game when Vino was like top 3, I think, or something, he was top third or
third,
fourth.
I think. I think it was third. Yeah,
I think he was third, and they didn't fight. Like they just split the map like Magic Moses. So at the end, I went to their call and they said like we regret it. We regret because we should have grieved them. That's what they said. They said that we should have just killed them and don't let them win. So I think they're just gonna go for every game, like either them, either Vico. So I think they're just gonna fight more. Maybe grief more. I don't know how to. That's not the grief, because that's just. Not letting
the lander, you just lander, yeah.
So we say grief, but that's not griefing, That's just like making them bad in the game. So that's it, I think.
Okay. When you say they regretted like not conning them, were they being nice in the last game, or did they just not realize, hey, we should fight them right now?
No, I think they went to the spot. But the thing is, Magic Moses is 50-50, but like you can 50-50, it depends the bus. So it can come from north, it can come from south, from everywhere, and it depends where the bus come. And it came in a way that they couldn't like 50-50 them. So they didn't fight, they didn't 50-50. Veno just left, Floki just left. So I think they regret to let them go, They wanted to fight.
So these guys are obviously your friends. You know them well. You're in call with them. You understand their vibes. You understand how they're feeling. Do you think there's any chance they leave?
No. There is no chance. There is no chance.
Even if it gets to like grand finals and like
there is no chance. There is no chance. Like I'm not even saying that because I know Veno is gonna see that, but there is no chance. Like if I told Veno in private, they're not gonna leave. If they leave, it's just the split. They're not playing together anymore. But I don't think that's gonna happen either. So they're never gonna leave, I think. So that's the thing.
Why do you think that is though? Is it because it's become personal now? Like, or is it because they actually genuinely think it's the best?
Yeah.
Like I know, because I know a lot of this, like a lot of these spawn things, it would be all okay if people weren't talking shit on Twitter and like going back and forth, But because of that, you're like, I don't want to let this fucking guy win. I don't want to let him get uncontested. Like, there's an ego part of it. So do you think this is them saying, okay, now it's too far, there's beef? Or do you think their best chance is actually just landing Magic?
No, I think you're right. I think they think the two ways, They think they don't want Veno to win. Like, that's 100% sure. They don't want Veno to win. And they say, like, it's better for everyone. If Veno is gone, everyone can win. I mean, he won also, but like there is no chance he doesn't win if he's gone,
Right.
So it becomes like this personal, and it's just Magic Moses is the best spot in the map. So there is no way they land another spot, So they think for them is the best thing to do that. I respect it, and I don't know, like. I don't know what to say else.
Well, it's funny because obviously we can get the tweet up again, right? Because they were talking on Twitter after, and essentially Snazy tweeted like the chill guy meme, He's like, I'm just a chill guy. I'm just landing mosses, I'm just a chill guy. And Veno obviously responded because Veno responds to everything that's about him, and he said, isn't it obvious? It's not worth conning. We had 4 out of 5. We have 4 to 5 teams third partying us every time. Every game. Now Teeny lands near as well. I can win 3 games. You guys can't win with 3 games. And Snazy, responds to Veno's essay and just says, I don't give a fuck, to be honest. And Veno says, yeah, all right, have fun. Gonna be a movie. And Snazy says, good luck, man. So this definitely feels very personal. I think it's interesting, obviously, because I feel like they probably aren't gonna leave. But this is a team that's like, could be a very good team. Obviously, now that we're in trios, right? You look at a lot of the success that, Clement, Floki, Snazy had in the past, and a lot of it was in trios. Like, trios was like a really good mode for them back in the day, I remember the Chapter 2 days. It always felt like, Snazy was doing some crazy clutch when he was playing with Anderlecht and stuff, and Floki and Clement always had great chemistry. Do you feel like trios is the mode for the French to like start, dominating, Fortnite again and like being able to be, up there at the top again?
Yeah, I think definitely trio is the mode of French players. But the thing is, so many French players left, so there is no like top players left also. But the thing is, there is like 2 or 3 trios that can really be on top, So I don't know, maybe, but I think trio is definitely the best French mod. Like definitely, by far.
Historically as well, like trio back in Chapter 2, the French boys were crazy and Misty. They were super consistent. So
exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
No, talking about French trios, like what French trio do you think will do the best this season? Like if you're looking at it.
I think definitely Snazy trio, Andilex trio. I think with Orskill and Saito, I think they're really good. That's a crazy trio, and there is probably like upcomers, but I'm not gonna give names because like I have so many in my head, but I'm not gonna give names. I just think there is gonna be like one more trio that can clearly make grands, also make walls. Why not? But
I think Akira's trio is landing on Cammy now as well, which is interesting.
Oh, they have his trio as well, right?
Yeah,
because it seems like the French people love to contest. That's the lesson we're learning here. I won't keep you for too long, Leo. But last thing I'll ask you. Let's say Magic Mosses, both teams get to grand finals and they're contesting each other. 12 games, what's the score going to be off spawn?
Off spawn, huh?
Yeah,
I think,
spawn, what's the score?
If they fight every game, 8-4 for France, I think.
8-4 for France?
Yeah.
I mean,
you said it.
That would be spicy.
He chose.
We know what side he is, 100%.
I am.
He did question off spawn. So I had one last question, Levin, if you don't mind. My question is, would you rather win off spawn or win the tournament? Because I know Snazy won off spawn this week, but Veno won the tournament. What are you choosing?
Tournaments, obviously. Obviously.
There you go.
I don't think they can win with 4 games, but if they do, that will be crazy. I don't know.
That would be insane. All right, Leo, of course, if people want to follow the French side of this off-spawn battle, I'm sure they can watch your stream where you'll be, viewing party and everything. So be sure to go check him out, Leo the Crack on Twitch, or underscore as well at the end, right, on Twitch.
FN.
Oh, FN, sorry, FN.
Yeah,
Leo the Crack FN. Appreciate you hanging out here and back in the Frenchies, representing them. Is there anything you want to say to the French fans before you go?
Les gars, vous connaissez votre gars, supportez la France, voilà, toujours, même si Veno c'est mon gars, tout ça, voilà. I said, even if Veno is my guy, Vico is my guy also, we have to support France at a point. So yeah, just France on top, and that's it.
There you go.
I'm glad to have been with you. That's a good moment. So
appreciate
thank
you, brother.
Guys.
Appreciate
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Lovely. All right. Leo, what a guy, mate. What a guy. All right. Well, we know what's going on there. Probably not going to see that off-spawn fight end anytime soon. It feels like we're going to keep having that one, which again is good because it means that there's more parity. It means the other teams have a chance to win these cups because if Vico, Flixie, and Veno are uncon and they can win with 3 games, imagine giving them 6 games uncon. Unfair. Any other EU performances you guys were impressed by? Anything else across the lobby that you guys were intrigued by?
I mean look,
you go first.
Thank you. Italy in 5th. Go back through any leaderboard ever, and Italy. Not historically the most successful and super stacked high prize pool lobbies, but the French guy, the French. We're going all over here. The Italian guys, Rax Production, Radon, they've been in every scrim session. They've been in every tournament. They've been putting in the work. They've been grinding, and now a top 5 is super good for them.
Yeah, I mean, landing at Warriors Watch contested, what everyone would think was going to be a 50-50 drop spot. I mean, if you watch those fights, it was miserable. It would be one team on like the top layer, crouching behind a corner. The team on the mid layer, crouching behind a corner, doing nothing. And they were all just lurking, doing nothing. But biggest surprising thing to me, on top of obviously Rax and Predage we talked about, and Vico, Vino, Felixi, is the contested teams that actually did pretty decent. Surprisingly, if we think about trios and contesting in trios, it sounds miserable. With teams being able to come in third party, fights not ending that quickly. Like, it feels miserable, but obviously we'll get onto one in a bit. But I dropped Trilix and Taysom with one game less finishing 10th. Cringe, Cade, and Mappy also contested 8th. And then you have Rax in 5th, and then you have Vico, Vino, Felixi in 1st. Like, 4 out of the top 10 being contested is very impressive, which to me is very surprising. I didn't expect any team to have contested to even get close to top 10, let alone performing like that. So I think that going forward is going to be exciting to see at least.
I mean, with that, it's like if you've got to think about how much surge that really is off spawn though in trios as well, because obviously a lot of these just go down to how much surge you get. And you know, say if you get a body, or say like they've got pop minis, 150 each, 450 damage, assuming that you don't also get the bodies on top of that, which is like 500-600 if you add up like that. That's a lot of surge to get early on off of a spawn fight where people have just popped minis. And there's, I think that in itself maybe adds up. We saw a lot last year where contested teams just started to do well, literally for that reason alone, where like you get free elim points and you get a bunch more surge, and then the start of your mid game is just made so much easier. Obviously, it really depends on how grief that gets in terms of loot, because if you've got no loot after that, like it's kind of just wraps. But if you can finish it relatively quickly and get out, then usually these fights can be somewhat beneficial, unless you're just awful at off spawn.
Yeah. It's weird because we had a lot of teams who were contested sort of like doing really well. And then there was the sort of nothing off spawn fight in terms of results, at least, between Pink, Nebs, and Chino, and then the Danish boys, Trippen, Thomas, and Fredoxy. Obviously, both of those teams contesting, they want to, land and take the train. None of them got the train because of the off spawn fight. So it's like, you know what? At this point, everything they're fighting for is just like nobody's getting the benefits of anything those guys are fighting for. And in the end, they were both sort of middle of the pack. Pink's team actually did get earnings at least, right? So they made a bit of cheddar and they beat out the Danes in that sense. But I'm curious about that one because obviously it's a really good, if you can get that spot on con, great spot. It's the reason why we're seeing Peter Butland there and doing as well as they're doing. But if you're not going to get it on con eventually, you've got to think one of these teams is going to leave. It doesn't feel worth it.
For the amount of hype that was built up for this, for if you're like locked into comp, it was kind of mediocre at best for like both teams, right? Like,
yeah.
So for reference, Fedoxy's been playing a lot of scrims. Like he's been playing like every single session. I think he's like top 10 most played scrim player this season. But Pink hasn't. And then Pink hasn't intentionally been playing scrims because he doesn't want to leak spawn strats versus Fedoxy. But Pink then plays second lobby in scrims to avoid Fedoxy. So Fedoxy tries to register both lobbies and try to dip on the other lobby. So like there's been like edits made out of it. And Pink said he's been practicing 50 hours of spawn fights. Fedoxy's been practicing 50 hours of scrims. And then I just ended up with both of them being mid and like 23rd and 27th or something. Yeah. Which, when I said that on stream, Fedox was like, "Oh, there's not much of a difference between those two. Like, one still made money over the other one.
One made money and the other one didn't."
Yeah. But in the overall,
you would say that there's not much difference if you were far behind, right? Like,
true.
If you're the one that's 27th, not 23rd, you're like, well, there's no difference, guys. There's no difference between 27th and 23rd. But if you're in 23rd, there's a big difference between 23rd and 27th.
We made money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It ended up being like a good spawn fight, but not. Both these teams are just griefing themselves landing here. There's no point.
It's interesting, right? Because I think this is the kind of off spawn fight that nothing is really going to change until one team dominates the other, which just might not happen. So then it's like, I feel like it's just going to be a stalemate for the next couple of weeks. But we'll see if anything interesting happens there because, again, both are teams that you'd expect to see higher up the leaderboard, and right now, it's not looking great. The other big elephant in the room in EU, we have to talk about it. Mongrel, Mr. Savage, Panzer finished dead last.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything really more to say? But it's just a miserable off spawn bird.
Yeah.
And especially when you have the landing spots around you uncontested, especially Shogun. when they can land on that south hill, and it was getting to the point that the team landing on the south hill was just shooting out the slurp truck in the middle of bird. They were landing there, getting a gun, shooting out the slurp truck, so no one had shield on the POI. So it's like, when that's the Osborne, and if you've watched other Osbornes at bird, the way that it's usually played is you get guns, you try and run to the slurp truck. If you get slurp truck, you win. So they kind of just all run to the middle and try and get the slurp truck. If you don't go to the slurp truck, and the other team just goes to it and you try and take positions and set flanks, you just have so much less shield. You can't play the fight. And you have to disengage. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things that I don't think, we'll get to the question of whether they should leave or not, but I don't think it's a big problem for them. One bad performance out of the whole season, which I think they've been one of the better teams this season, to be honest. I think it's not something to worry about, but I'm... Yeah, if it gets to a situation where they're contesting a grand finals or a heats or something like that, then it's a scary situation. So I don't think a lot changes.
They better start winning, mate. Boop was saying they're going to win an FNCS sometime soon.
Yeah,
so
I saw the tweet.
Yeah. No, I've had this video title. So like when I get video title ideas, I write them in my big sheet, and I have so many. And there's been ones on there that's like been there for so long, and I've not had the right video, the right topic to go with it. And it was like, why X being a certain POI name is the worst placed POI of all time. And I genuinely think Bird might have to fit that, and that might have to be one of my recent shorts, because like it is just designed to fail. It truly is. Like, it's so open to start with. If you're going to go into the middle, get this slurp truck, kind of like Harry said, you have 3 or 4 different POIs who can all just like third party just to push on you very early on. Launch pads all around, so anyone who's close can get close to you. If you're conned, it's just absolutely over. Like, I genuinely feel like Bird might be one of the most unfortunate POI positionings of all time.
And what's even crazy about it, it's not even just an Osborne thing. I remember we had a game in our Div 3 lobbies, right? Where like we're rotating through, right? Me, Mini Miner, Harry rotating through Bird, and we're like, all right, we'll refarm a bit of our metal here at Bird, because the walls on the buildings are pretty decent. And like you said, it's just so open. We start just getting tagged from every which direction, and like I'm getting like full cracked, and I don't know where from. And like Miniman is like, oh no, it's a team on this hill. And Harry's like, no, there's a team behind us. And I'm like, yeah, surely it's a team like that's right over there, right? It's like there's so many people about, and you're like, oh, it's just Bird is the positioning of that POI is quite unfortunate. It's not the most fun to play through, to say the least. So yeah. Well, hopefully we see Mongo and Savage back. They did leave the Bird though. They left the Bird.
One game.
Yeah, for one game. I remember watching, Boot's viewing party, like, oh, surely, where they're gonna land. Then we thought they were gonna land on the mountain where I forgot who's landing there right now.
Roban,
the Roban Mountain. And it looked like Panzer went to land there, but the other 2 weren't landing there. So like he just dies, and like the game's just screwed from that point onwards, because now they're just getting harassed all about the place. But yeah, I don't know. Things aren't looking too great for this trio right now, but hopefully, it's just a one-off and they can get back to their good form. But I mean,
it's a tale of the land for Mongo Savage. It seems like for the last 4 seasons, right? It's like, can we find a draw spot that's uncontested? No. Are we gonna get contested? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it gonna get grief? Yes. When we do make late games, we do good. But yeah, unfortunately, my messaging last week went a little bit awry and a little bit cursed.
It's fine.
And it all went to shit. But I still believe they did one open. So
I feel like if you're a team who's always going to get contested, like you just gotta choose somewhere that is not easy to be third party. Like I was going to say, not a mid-map, POI, kind of like, or similar to what they did last chapter. Obviously, Bird's not really mid-map, but it's just still around everything. Like, I feel like they have to choose some sort of POI that's edge map that's just so much more difficult to get third-partied in instead, so that they have a much higher chance of just actually surviving rather than doing this insta-dead 15 teams surrounded them gimmick that's now just become their thing.
What was that one north spot last chapter in the forest? What was it called again?
Rebels Roost.
They should have been the Rebels Roost team, Just ISO the team there. Just ISO that team off spawn, and you ain't got to worry about the third party most of the time, at least.
They should just land a POI they can just split. That's it. If you can't fire spawn, just split. Just land one of these POIs, you can take 20 chests and leave. Because I feel like it's funny, because it's kind of becoming true that I remember obviously when they first made Grands in chapter 5, right? Everyone's like, oh, how could you contest them? But it's just like, they weren't that good off spawn. Even though the other team didn't do great off spawn, they obviously whatever happened with them getting banned happened, right? But they still weren't the best team off spawn. Mongrel's numbers in that Grands were not very good. Much better now. Mongrel's performing crazy, like incredibly well. But I think it's just the one weakness it's always been for Savage, and it's followed him his whole career. It's just contest Savage. He's not the best off spawn player. Like it's just he's good at everything. He's just not. It's like there's a gene, an off spawn gene. Some of them just have it. It's like I don't think.
But
Savage
it is
just...
true though. Like I'm not gonna like when I've spoken to pro players about off spawn fighting. A lot of them actually say something similar. Where like some players are amazing players, but they just don't have good off spawn intuition. And like they're just not great off spawn for whatever reason. And so that is
50-50.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what Bird is. It's kind of 50-50. You have best job, you have best side, you can get slurp track, but it's just like the other team will just swerve and then it's just awkward as fuck. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do because wherever they move, they're going to get contested. So, it's just a bit of a disaster. So,
yeah. Well, that was EU this week. We'll continue to follow both EU and NA. Onto NA though. And we had, surprise, surprise, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold win NA. And
you need to change your rhetoric. I'm sorry, I'm cutting right in.
All right,
this is not NA anymore. This is NA Central. There's two NA.
Sorry.
You can't be out here. You can't be out here calling this NA like a scrub. This is NA Central.
Very true.
What if there's a West player right now who goes NA? Oh my God, you're going to speak about West guys, and then you're out here talking about Peterbot. Like that one guy is so disappointed right now.
I like how West isn't even mentioned on a little summary. It's like, wait, NA West had a winner this week?
Of course not. We are not covering NA West. Nobody gives a fuck about Epic Growth farming that crap region.
You didn't even win. You didn't even win.
Let me not speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. All right. Well, look, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold won. And so I actually want to shout somebody out because on the last episode of the podcast, William Ba, number 1, he said, would be cool if you guys could do an interview with the winners of Div 1 finals every week. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? You guys are supposed to say, yeah, it would.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
That'd be awesome.
And so that's exactly what we did. We're going to speak to Ritual. Shout out to Ritual. What's good? We got Ritual in the building. It's a pleasure to have you here, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's a fun time in Fortnite, right? Because obviously FNCS has started, right? It's cash cups, but it's more important cash cups, so we'll call it FNCS. And obviously you guys had an amazing start to the competition, right? Winning that first week. What we're trying to do on the show right now is we're trying to like talk to the winners, right? We're trying to get an idea of how things are for them. And obviously everybody's always hearing Peter speak, that guy's talking nonstop. We're a bit tired of that guy now. And I feel like we don't hear enough from Ritual. And you've had such a good year in Fortnite, like not just obviously this successful tournament, you obviously won, the ESL stuff at EWC. You and Reet had a bunch of really successful FNCS campaigns. So I just want to get into the mind of Ritual real quick. Let's start off with, that first win in the FNCS Division 1. What was that like? How did you guys come into getting that win?
Yeah, so the first win was kind of expected. We've been grinding a lot. Our spots really, we just get Peter the Mythic AR, me and Cold, we're getting good. So we're all getting, God ARs. We get Surge, and then after that, like, the game's just too easy for us.
You've been IGLing, right? How are you finding that?
Yeah. Yeah, IGL is actually kind of fun because like in your hands, so you can play your team wherever you want. And like when you win a game, like that in some cases it's mostly all on you. So it's a good feeling.
I feel like one of the big things of whoever Pete was going to play with was like, is he going to listen to them? Is he going to show them that respect as the IGL? Do you feel like you have it? Because you've got two amazing players, two of the best players we've had in Fortnite. Like, do you feel like when you speak, they listen? You've got that command in the team right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that they both listen to me a lot and they respect me. So that's like a big thing as like an IGL because, with Pete's previous teammates, I don't think he really respected them as much. So it was harder for him to enjoy playing with them. But in our case, it's different, so it just works really good.
You're putting that nice. I like how you're keeping it nice. I'm gonna get you to talk some shit soon. Don't worry, we're gonna get you there, 100%. Look, when it obviously, it's been an interesting journey to get here, right? Because I feel like your trio's really stable and it looks really good. And obviously, when you're winning tournaments, that's always going to be a good thing. I want to talk to you about how you actually got here, because obviously, when we went from duos to trios, I think there was a lot of like, who's going to play with who. And instantly, like I remember at Globals, like, when everyone was going home, I'm in the hotel talking to like a bunch of NA pros and like asking people like, who you going to play with? Who you going to play with? And naturally, I think a lot of fans probably would have thought that you and Reet maybe would have stayed together, right? Because obviously you guys have played together for, over a year, and you guys, did really well in Major 1 and Major 2. So I actually want to know, like, what ended up making you decide, hey, actually, maybe it's time to split up from Reet here and move on?
I just think that, what made me and Reed split was that the same mistakes kept happening. And, we played for a couple years, I think like a year and a half. So it was kind of getting like to be repetitive. So I just wanted something new. So we're on good terms and everything with that. And then after Reed, I started to play with Agers for duos. And that was really good. I think Agers is like really underrated. He's a really good player.
For sure.
And then going into like OG season, me and Agers were playing trios with Acorn, but Cole DM'd us to play, or he DM'd me, because me and him have been in talks for like a while, talking about playing and stuff like that. And so we started trioing, and like 3 or 4 tournaments. Peter DM'd me and Cole to play. He was DMing us for a little bit. So that was a hard decision to make, but definitely probably the best decision if we wanted to win, So we ended up just doing that, and I think we're on pace to win probably. So that's good. That's the goal.
I mean, you're well on your way there, right? If you can keep it up. It's interesting you mentioned that playing obviously with Acorn for trios at first, and then like trying out other people, and eventually you end up with Cold. I remember, right, a lot of people are starting to realize how good you are. Like, I feel like it gets like under the radar a bit. Like, I feel like you are a bit underrated, where people, they think of you, they think, okay, he's a decent IGL, whatever, cool. But I feel like a lot of people don't realize how cracked you are. I remember when you were playing with Acorn, right? And after one of the tournaments, he joins call with me, and he's like showing me the games, and he was like, Levin, bro, you don't get it. Ritual and Ages are fucking crazy. And he shows me this one end game where, I kid you not, you guys go into like end game, like it's like start of moving zones. It was first moving zone, you had like 10 kills, and you finished the game with 25 kills. And it was just the whole end game, like it was just 5 minutes of you and Ages just going, like killing everyone in the lobby. And I remember like thinking, damn, okay, I knew these guys were good. I didn't realize they were this good. And then when a lot of people started to realize it, it's probably one of my favorite clips this whole year. Top 5 clips this whole year is the Bucky clip. Where is you in endgame, and it's like you're in bloody creative, and you're like, it's like the silliest thing I've seen in so long. And like Bucky's reaction to it is so funny as well, because he sat there like, what? Like, we'll play it right now so people can hear his reaction. Bro said, is that Jesus? Bro, that shit had me crying when I saw it. Do you feel like you're underrated? I feel like people sleep on you a bit, man. They don't know how crazy. You're not just an IGL. Like, you can really do it all.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a little underrated. I think people are starting to realize a little bit, how good I am. But I think it all just comes with time. So eventually people will realize.
Yeah, 100%. Look, obviously things are going well in the trio right now, and I'm glad things are going well. I do have a question though, and this was something I was really curious about, and I'm not sure if there's been much said on it. I know Pete probably gets asked this question a bunch, but initially you guys had tweeted out that you were going to be working with Sven, and I know you've worked with Sven a bunch, right? You guys had a bunch of success in EWC. You worked with him with Ritual a bunch. And recently, obviously, I think last week, it was the tweets about winning all had Raz tags. So I'm guessing you guys are working with Raz now. Talk to me about sort of that decision there, because I know Cold obviously worked with Sven as well. So both of you had experience working with Sven. Now you're working with Raz. What's the sort of decision making there?
Right. So I personally worked with Sven for last year,
Yeah,
for Battle Royale and ESL. Sven, me and him are really good friends. He was an awesome coach. And then him and Cold worked before I started working with him, like with him and Acorn for duos and for
yeah,
ESL too. So that was really good. So we just, we wanted to get coached by him initially because we thought he's really good. But I listened to what P had to say about him and Raz because, they won 4 FNCSs together. So I didn't want
yeah.
to be too selfish about that, so I told him that we could give Raz a try too, and it's gone good with. I think that's where we're at right now. It's good for Peter and Raz to work, and we're all learning from him a lot, so it's good.
Both of them are amazing coaches, two of the best. I love Sven so much. I've learned so much about the game from Sven, and Raz obviously has been doing so well. What are you finding are like some of the differences in like their coaching styles? Obviously, you mentioned it's different. You're learning from Raz, and I'm sure he has plenty to offer. What has been so different? Like when you've worked with one coach for so long, like playing working with another is going to be different. So I'd love to know some of the
Right.
differences there.
So working with Sven is really good because he focuses on one team, so you're always gonna have like his full attention, and he'll always
Right.
grind with you, stuff like that. But when you work with Raz, he's still there. He gives you his attention, but he also coaches a lot of other teams, so you get to learn and watch like from them. So it's just like new perspectives on games. You get to hear like what they ask as questions and what strats they have like that. So it's just a collaborative space, you could say. It's good.
I like that. Yeah. No, I think that's interesting because there's definitely value in both. Like having a coach who's fully
Right.
locked in on you and like helping your strategy work and stuff like is amazing. But when you can actually learn from some of the other best players in the world, players on different regions like on EU and stuff. Like I remember that was always like a really big thing with like a lot of the BloodX clients like earlier where they're all learning from each other as well as the coach, right? So Raz being able to offer that is sick.
Right.
A lot of people have nice things to say about you all the time. Like I hear nothing but nice things. But after globals,
Yeah.
when I was asking a bunch of like the NA players, I was asking a bunch of people like, yeah, like, who you gonna play with, and a bunch of people were throwing around names. And I spoke to one person who they needed an IGL. And so I was like, hey, Ritual, what about Ritual? What do you think of him? Who's he going to be playing with? Because he's not going to be playing with Reet anymore. And they said something about you, and I thought it was interesting because it's not something that I would have thought about you. And maybe it was unfair, so I want your thoughts on this. They said, Ritual's had a bunch of success this year. I feel like his ego's maybe getting to him a bit. I feel like maybe he's a bit too, the ego's a bit too big there. Maybe he's getting a bit too big for his boots. Do you feel like, because you've had a good year. You were MVP. Not many people can say they were the EWC MVP. Do you feel like, with some of the success you've had, maybe you've at times let that get to you, or do you feel like you're just super confident right now and you obviously have the right to be like, where do you sort of fall on that? Do you think that's a fair criticism?
I mean, I could definitely see that it's fair, but I also know that, I keep a cap on it. So I'm not too egotistical at all.
Okay.
Um, I just know where I'm at right now, so it's like, it's just how it is, I guess.
Yeah. All right. He's keeping his cards close to his chest. We know he's got a big stinky ego, but he's just doing the humble gimmick on the FNtasia podcast. It's fine. It's fine. I won't keep you for too long, and I appreciate you hanging out here. One last thing, we're gonna farm a TikTok clip here. What's it like playing with Peter Butt, the best player ever? Just sum it up. Just what's it like playing with him?
Playing with Pete, you just gotta get him the end game, and then, I mean, not even, he always just finds kills. He does
Yeah.
really everything that you could ask him to do. You don't have to do too much. Game's really easy for me. I just get him to a spot, and then he just does the rest for me, basically. So it's just awesome. Really easy, really fun. It's just how it is. He's the greatest.
Playing with Pete and Cold, do you sometimes like feel like you're almost doing nothing? Like, do you ever get bored in games? So you're like, bloody hell, like, at least like let me get in on the action, guys. Like, chill.
Yeah, being like a fighting IGL, I definitely get a little bored because they just beat everybody that we fight. I rarely have to win a one because they win
Yeah.
their fight so fast, which is different for me. But I think it's a lot of fun too because I just get to watch kind of like the fights go on, and they're over within 30 seconds most of the time. So it's just funny. They just kill everybody for me. So
Yeah.
it's just how it is.
This is a dream come true, man. Like, respect. Honestly, if you're an IGL, like, there's honestly no two better players in the world you could like have. Like, when everyone makes their like dream trios, like if you could pick two players you would want to play with ever, like most people just say Peterbot and Cold, and like you actually just get to play with them. So fair play to you, man. It's been super fun seeing you guys dominate, and I hope to see you guys do even better, of course. Merry Christmas as well in advance, because by the time a lot of people will be watching this, it is Christmas time. Do you have anything to say to the fans and people supporting you?
Thank you guys all for supporting me, my trio, and just get ready to watch us dominate the rest of the year.
Love that. Absolutely love that. It's been an absolute pleasure, Richie. Appreciate you, brother. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, bro.
Ritual, what a player. He's had a great year as well. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's settled in such a good trio. And they're winning tournaments, of course. So no surprise when you're playing with Peterbot, you're probably expected to win tournaments. I will be honest with you guys though. I didn't watch NA this week.
Wow, how could you?
Wow.
And it's only because after Veno won, I was like, we have to celebrate. He lives in London, so we went out to a lovely little shisha lounge, me, him, and Pink, and we just had a good night out, So I wasn't what Veno was actually watching on his phone, so I couldn't watch. But I didn't watch any of this. I didn't actually see much of what happened, but I know it was a close battle because Veno kept saying, "Oh, Acorn's in second. If they win this game, they could actually win all, but they need to do that." So I think it was somewhat close. I don't know if any of you guys watched or saw anything interesting in NA.
I mean,
no.
it was close until the last game, basically. Like it was close, and as like Vanna was saying, it's like I think Acorn, Canada, and Aegis were probably like 50, 60 points behind, but it's still a lot. But if Peterbot just had, he never does, to be honest. They never do.
If he did just done
again. Yeah, but all that happened was Aegis, Acorn, and Cold had a bad last game, and then Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot get a 17 kill win. And then it looks like they've dominated the whole tournament, which, if you look at their match history with a 2.3 average placement, you would definitely say the same. But, I mean, yeah, I think what's kind of just happening in NA last year, we're interested to see if it was going to happen this year. It feels like it's going to happen this year in NA Central. I feel like it's just going to be the same year.
I think the formula has been already made for this trio now, right? Like, we know what to expect of them. We know what to expect of NA. There's some teams that might struggle behind. We had a few random trios winning cash cups at the start while Pete was figuring shit out. But now they're locked. They know what's going on. And I think it's going to be very, very predictable what's going to happen in the future. I personally watched a bit of it, but after like the third game, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to go to bed. Like, there's not much more in watching this anymore.
Are you bored of watching Peterbot win everything? There's no way. There's no way that you could get bored of that. That would be so interesting if we talked every podcast about that for an hour again.
We're really glazed Peterbot like crazy today.
Next week, we need 1 hour of Peterbot winning talk and 1 hour of simple edits, and that's all. That's all our podcast.
I'll go sleep for 2 hours with Jan and that talk. I'll just get in bed whilst you guys are talking about that.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, yeah, you guys are pretty right on that. It's funny because you look at the NA leaderboard, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Brute. I won't go as far as what you were saying, but I'm not inspired. I'm not looking at this leaderboard going, there's a lot of potential Peterbot and Ritual Cold competition here. Of course, you'd expect Rapid Bolts and Poyo to do better, and we know that they're a team that can compete at that level. And so it's definitely not just dusted, but in general, and if anything, honestly, it's similar to EU, because if Vico and them were uncon, we'd probably be saying the same thing. It doesn't feel like anyone in the region right now can match those two. So the question is, who do you like better? Ritual Cold, and Peterbot, or Vico, Veno, and Flixie? Let us know in the comment section down below. But I want to know the panel's thoughts.
It has to. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but it has to just be Ritual Cold and Peterbot. It just does. I mean, I look at that trio, you watch them play, and I'm like, there's very, very few, if any, teams can do what they do. The way they're playing, and also, not even like, obviously they've got the Mythic AR, which helps, but I wouldn't say it's like the best spot on the map. I wouldn't say it's like S tier, by far the best. It's obviously really good, don't get me wrong, it's a really good spot. They're not going to land at a shit spot, but it's not like the previous seasons where they've been landing the best of the best, not even close, getting island, forecast, everything. They just get a Mythic AR and a nice hill to sit on. You know, that's about it. And what they're doing, the way they play it, you just watch it and you're just like, how? Like, how do they get out of so many bad situations? The individual skill they have, I don't know. I would be like, if you ask me the question, would I be more shocked if Vico and Flixie didn't win EU, or if Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual didn't win NA? I'd be more surprised if Peterbot didn't win NA. And that's not even just the level, because obviously there's still teams below them who could win.
But you've got to go back to what Boop said earlier about Kanye playing wheelchair basketball and be like,
true,
they can get out of all these positions because who are they playing against? You know, it's NA players.
They don't have
now
random
split
zero.
into NA and NA West. There's even less of them. So by that alone, I'm just going to say Vino. You know, that's it. There's it's EU bias only.
Respect, Reese. Reese is consistent, to be fair. I respect it.
Of course.
Boop.
Is it a question of who do you think is better, or who do you think is going to win, or more likely to win?
Answer it how you want to answer it.
Yeah.
I say if I had a team that was favorited to do the best comparatively to those two, I'd say it's Peterbot Trio is going to do the best. I think EU's too close to call, even though they won in 3 games. I think there's a lot more that can happen there for improvement for the other teams. So I'm calling for Skinny Pete.
Yeah.
I think.
What do you think?
And a trio.
Thank you for asking me what I think. Nobody ever asked me what I think. I think Peterbots is the better trio. And I think we do this thing in Fortnite, and I understand it, but we do this thing in Fortnite for like where we undervalue the Mythic AR. Because I swear, like, every time there's a Mythic AR, the Mythic AR team wins. Like, almost every, unless the team is just dog shit. Like, because it's weird because the Mythic AR never, like, feels that crazy until you go back and watch the FNCS team that won, and you watch the video of them using it, and you're like, holy crap. Why were people just letting them have this? Like, this is insane. And I think we're going to be seeing the same thing happen again. I feel like we're going to come to the end of FNCS in NA. Peterbot's going to win. And we're going to all be going, bloody hell, that AR's mental. We should never have let them have that. So, yeah, I'd go Peterbot. And I think they're going to win 4 in a row, which is crazy. Well, Peterbot's going to win 4 in a row.
The bug is fixed.
That was what I was about to
the train
say.
spawns in the same spot every time. So, if surely that's not intentional, that the train is always in the same spot. We do not. Epic have not said that's a bug. I don't see I've not looked at their Trello, but I don't think it's on their Trello saying it's a bug either. But sure, I mean, assuming that it is a bug, then that train will not be there every single time. So immediately that Mythic AR is gone from their grasp, and that spot outside of that, rotations of things. Yeah, 14 chests in the POI, you get access to the hill, but someone cut you off. Yeah, a bit mid. So, like, how does that change then? I'm sure they'll just alpha up another drop.
They're just landing mosses or something. They'll just go wherever they think that makes best. And I mean,
the AR always feels crap because we're the ones using it, and we're like, man, this thing doesn't even fry. This is crazy. and then you watch it in like Peterbot's hands, and you go, oh yeah, there's a reason he takes us every single season.
Yeah. I wanted to say one last thing about NA. I think the biggest surprise was Rapid, Poyo, and Bolts. I mean, they didn't do anywhere near as well. They finished 10th, which, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not an awful placement. But you look at their games of 15th, 12th, 14th, 6th, 12th, 9th. It's like they're not getting any good games. Like they're not getting deep into endgame at all. They are still getting kills, but it's surprising because I think going into this season, like you saw, obviously Peterbot changing trio constantly, and you just had the set Rapid, Poyo, and Bolts, who at the end of Chapter 5 were probably one of the better, if not the best NA trio, best performing one by far. And I think going into this, we didn't really know what we expected this season. We didn't know what to expect out of Peterbot, Cold, and Rich. Obviously, we expect them to be high, but top of the leaderboard, but we didn't know how close or who would be better out of Rapid, Poyo, and Bolt's obviously on form, and it feels like maybe I don't know how they play based on landing spot. They're landing at the dojo, so take that with what they got the dojo in the south bit as well, so they still get the metal. But it's surprising to me because I was expecting a lot out of them, and when watching customs as well, it felt like they were doing well. They were doing as well as usual, but seeing them not even be they're 300 plus points behind Peterbot. Like, that is a massive gap you've got to catch up.
Yeah,
huge. And one of the things that's funny is like, because I don't watch as much NA, I usually just assume Peterbot's won, and then if it, whatever tournament it is, and then I look at the leaderboard, and naturally I think Poyo's trio is going to be second. So what's funny is when you were like, I was shocked by that, I was like, well, they're not in second. I was like, they must be in third. And then I kept scrolling, and they were in 10th. And I had the exact same thought process as you were there, where I was like, wow, they had some crap games as well. So it's not even that it's not surprising not to see them win, because obviously you can see Peterbot sure win, but the fact they're not in like top 3, you go, and this is like the first really big tournament of trios, is like the first weak link I think maybe we've seen from that team.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what you thought of this first FNCS on the EU and NA side of things. And if you have any predictions based off of... In fact, in the comment section below, give us your FNCS overreactions based off of just the first week, you know?
Hot takes.
Yeah, give us your overreactions, your hot takes, and we'll read them out on the next episode. How about that? That's nice. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Good.
Perfect. We'll forget.
Perfect.
We'll forget by then, but it's good.
No, I won't forget. This, though, is something I've almost forgot. The feeling of good solo competition. Oh my goodness! Solo cash cups, real solo cash cups, not that victory cup crap. Even though I really like victory cups.
Yeah.
Real solo cash cups are back. Stack solos. I didn't know how much I missed stack solos. I'm not gonna say that. I'm letting that. I have a take cooking, but I'm gonna say it next time. I need to let the take cook. I don't want to do a Harry and everyone fucking hate me forever because
that's part of the fun. That's
true.
That's part of the fun.
But solos are back and they're really good. Did you guys watch the solos? Did you play the solos?
Played and watched the solos. So played Middle East, Quad Middle East. Played Eve, did not do well, but actually a lot of fun. Like I think in general, the meta is quite fun to play. You know, Voids are quite nice to use, and it's not as bad as trios if you land in the box. You know, at least you can aim duel them. It's not anywhere near as bad as in trios. You just feel like I've landed in the box with a trio, I'm just dead instantly. And that's a skill issue, but still, it's still fun. And even if you get something like the katana, doesn't feel that bad in solos. Obviously not as good, but doesn't feel that bad. Like a lot of people end up just getting a katana, and it's fine. Like the only thing is 50-50 rotates, but you can use a katana with 50-50 rotates, and it's okay. I think the main thing that I enjoyed watching, and I feel like if you saw on Twitter, everyone kind of agreed, was the opens were a lot of fun to watch and play. Like they were. The games were stacked. Obviously, you got to get top 600, which on other regions might not be as hard, but on EU, that is challenging when there's... I can't remember how many people play, but it's probably over 100,000 as is most tournaments, right? Mm-hmm. So getting top 600 is hard, and every game you're watching in like even top 10k lobbies is stacked. It's 40 movings, it's 30 moving, it's surge in movings, it's everything you want in a solo game. It's beautiful to watch. On the final side, there's still some room, there's still some things that need to get fixed, you know? I think... To me, the finals felt quite boring to watch, to be honest, because, you know, when you have 600 players and only top 25 make money, there's a lot of people who stop trying. But the open side of things, they fixed a lot, and that is a lot of fun to watch and play.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is probably a FNtasia first, but I actually agree with Harry on everything he just said, entirely start to finish, which shows how good your opinion must be here. And I had a very, very similar feeling playing. I played Middle East. It was awful. It was truly horrific. Mainly because I chose the worst drop spot of all time and then died off spawn every single game almost. Skill issue though. That was a skill issue. Then I asked Harry for a drop for EU. He cooked up. Well, he basically just told me to go a POI, and I was like, "Yeah, that worked way better." And it worked a treat. But then it was all a skill issue after that of me just being an ass. But the thing is, I was like, it was when you die in like a solo victory cup, right? You get like a top 10, and you go, "Well, what a waste of time! I just spent 20 minutes playing a game." Yeah. Now with the different format, it's like, okay, I suck. Like every time I died, I was like, man, I suck. You know, it wasn't this game sucks. It's I suck. But at least I still got some points out of it. You know, it's like at least getting to a top 10 means something in the new format since they've changed the point system.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm so bad with that mask, man. I had it in most of my games every single time. If I go early, I get lobby focused. If I go late, I get lobby focused. I was like, this is literally just a skill issue of where I'm landing. The other times, if I don't get lobby focused, I'm literally landing right in someone's face and just like hoping for the best.
How many storm ticks were you taking each TP as well?
Oh, so many. And the thing is, I was fishing, so like I just taking shield. I was taking like 6 shieldfish or taking like 3 shieldfish and a fishing rod the whole time. So I never had any whites. So I was like, every end game, I was just struggling, man.
Rookie mistake. You need whatever, the blob, the blue guy, whatever you want to call it, the dude. You need one of them.
Dudes. You need
some
bro.
dudes. You need them. But no, like, I just think it's fun. It's so much fun to play. And I mean, the finals, I'll tell you this, the finals of Middle East, I've never had a more miserable experience in my life.
Welcome to the club, my friend.
Yeah, because it is just, the finals, all it is because it's, I think it's 3 points a kill in finals. So everyone is keying. So the games are just not that stacked. You're getting 8 minutes queues to either be Condor spawn, which is whatever, fine, but it's then you're just recovering the game, and then by the time you recover the game, you're just getting keyed by another guy, and then keyed by, like, it's just so miserable.
I want to clarify, if this was a zero elam points, they would still be the same thing on Middle East. That's just
probably
that's the Middle East level.
Every non-opens Middle East tournament I have played has been that exact same thing. It's just fucking miserable.
But no, like, I just think, I genuinely, like, the biggest thing you said as well, the actual points format is amazing. Like, it feels so good. Like, I completely forgot to even touch on it, but it's like, you'd get an 11th or 12th last season. It's like, I might as well just have stayed in lobby for 25 minutes. Like, I know there was no point in me readying up to that game. You get a 12th for like 2 kills, I was like, 40 points, we take those. Like, you're only like 20, 30 points off like a win with some kills, and yes, obviously the win should be rewarded, but it's still pretty rewarded. From going from 3rd to 1st is an extra 11 points, which matters a lot, but it rewards playing 7 endgames, and it rewards being able to have that consistency. And we saw it in the finals as well with Malibuca's match history. I mean, every single game, 7 endgames, not a single death before that, and every game in the top 10, and he wins. So it's, I think it's going to, hopefully, with some fixes, maybe changing how many people make finals or how many people make money or stuff like that, it'll make the finals better, but overall, a good change from Epic.
I'd love to know Boop's thoughts on watching the finals, because I enjoyed watching the finals, but watching the finals was the same experience for me as when it was Victory Cups, because I'm watching a viewing party where they're bouncing around endgame to endgame, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of just the same, but it was better for me than watching Victory Cups because of what you said, Reese. It wasn't just first that mattered anymore. So like people were like popping off, like getting mad kills, going crazy, getting a 3rd place, and they're celebrating. And I was like, damn, I missed that about solos.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time now, solos, if you just didn't win, it was like, oh, fuck this shit. Fuck it. And I'm like, no, you did a great game. And so that was, for me, just watching from like a viewing party, I thought it was better than Victory Cup finals. I don't know about you though, but
100%. It was a lot better. It's nice to have a conclusion to a tournament, right?
Yeah.
There's no answer at the end of a solo Victory Cup. It's, hey, this guy won $100. In the first week it was ever done, cool, holy shit, he won $100. Afterwards, we had the 50 bomb meta, and oh my god, he dropped the 50 bomb. And then in the last like year, it was like, oh, okay, and then he won $100. So it was nice to have a conclusion. Like Harry said, I did think Opens was a lot more satisfying to watch because it was actually people struggling to make it through to round number 2. We had pros that were struggling. Now, obviously, pros were struggling because they're fucking stupid, right? And they can't play the format, and they just WK every single game. I literally had like 3 pros in my chat saying like, "Boo, this is horrible." I'm like, bro, just sit in the burst, watch my stream, and then when you're in endgame, you win. All of them qualified. They all qualified when I told them that. You know, Noms, Vico, they were like WK. I was like, yo, chill, qualified. So all you gotta do is AFK. Like, yes, it's a little bit boring, and that's not the way you want to play, but that's the format. The format's so good for that. It's consistent. There's rewarding to making end games, and then more importantly, you have to make more end games than not, right? You're rewarded for not playing 6 games, but like 8 games, because I think I calculate if you get 10 top 40s, that's 100 points you get, right? You can easily get top 40s in 3 hours if you just make every single end game. So that's like the little the hack to it. Hack 2? Oh. So in finals, though,
this guy really Welsh
in finals, though, I wish it was a set lobby. That's my main thing. I understand why people don't want it to be a set lobby, because it's going to be hard for you to qualify, even harder for a top 100. But the fact that we had this epic ending, we had Malibuca versus Vika, both popping off, Vika WK and Malibuca being crazy consistent, but they weren't in the same game, so we didn't have that nice bow on top where like they're going head to head in the same end game. Oh my god, they might kill each other. That was lacking. It was still exciting because like Vico died early and then Malibuca had to get top 27, but then Malibuca got 27 and you're like, okay, well, there you go. Malibuca won, boys. So from like a viewer perspective, I think that would be a lot better. From a player perspective as well, it would minimize cheaters because you have to check 100 accounts versus 600 accounts between days. Obviously, this was a 1 day tournament, which isn't going to happen, but for the still checking 600 accounts takes ages. So
I would.
You go first. You go first, Love.
I would say that was one thing as well that was like very rough on NA. So EU, there wasn't as many cheaters on the leaderboard higher up. No, but like there was cheating. But like on the lead, like did you see NA? NA, like there was a point where the top 10, it was like 7 cheaters on the top 10. Yeah, like going into like the second to last game. So it's like it was way worse on NA cheaters than EU this week at the top of the leaderboard, which is like, again, like from a visibility problem, that's always just worse, you know, like when the top of leaderboards fill the cheaters, and like the cheaters are doing this cringe thing now where they're like pretending to be people, you know, so it's like you can't even tell, like there's like fake people who you're like, of course Cold's like first in the solo cash cup, you know, it's Cold, and then you're like, no, it's the cheater called Cold.
Once again, if you get beamed, right, if you get absolutely lasered by somebody, you're like, oh, it's Cold, like, oh, his aim's that good, so I'm just, it's like the less chance that you're going to report someone, you know.
So
I mean, that was what I was going to say. That was what I was going to say. It's like the biggest issue was because there wasn't the 2-day gap. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago about the change where it's like a 2-day gap is what we need, so they have time, the reports to go through, and they don't have to rush everything. This weekend was why there's a 2-day gap, because the amount of cheats you said on NA, maybe there wasn't as many, but the amount of tweets and the amount of times people were dying to cheaters, even on EU and on NA, was even more. It was too many, because when you're just dying and you have to wait 5 minutes, realistically, you'll probably just get into a game with another cheater. There's only like 600 people. You're probably, if there's what, 20 cheaters, you're going to get into a game with one. Right, it's a high chance, and then it's just, again, something which we don't want to see, just playing hide from the cheater. If you can hide from the cheater and get consistent end games, you will just qualify. You will just get a good placement. And
sorry, did you say hide from the medallion?
It's like hide from the medallion, hide from the cheater. It's the same thing. It's just like the exact same thing. But yeah, I just think in general, like that's like that's. I mean, you could say it's on Epic's side because the tournament didn't work.
No, they have to. They have to. That's, you know, we've been singing Epic's praises the past 6 months. You know, when they get things wrong, I think it's fair to say, hey, like, have someone extra just checking the leaderboards during Solo Cash Cup if it's not going to be a 2-day. Like, just, you know.
I agree, because that kind of put a sour taste in, like, through it, because it just wasn't as enjoyable. But I think the overall format is a success. I think it will create some great moments. It will create some more exciting viewing experiences, and I think in general, especially like if they tweak it as they go, I think it will just get better and better. And I think getting rid of the Victory Cup format, I was worried about it. I did say I think we should keep the Victory Cup format because I think it's good for people to play towards it, and it will keep more players playing, because obviously high chance of being able to make money in that when you have to get top 15k and then just win a game. But I think in general, it's. I think I'm looking forward to. I'm actually excited for solo tournaments, which hasn't been the case for a long, long, long time.
Epic, add a monthly. Give us a monthly set lobby based off of the results of the solo cash cups throughout the month, so we at least get to watch one stacked lobby of solos.
Online 3-packs. Oh,
like give us something like that. Like stacked solo lobby, unreal, man, unreal. Also. Solos just bringing back the goats, mate. Tayson was popping off in opens, mate. I was like, the goat is back. Solo Tayson is back. And then it didn't quite go to semi-finals, but still.
You got all that going back in chapter 2, and I was like, in the remix, it was like a chapter 2 solos, Tayson's back. Maybe he's just kept that momentum going. But as you were talking there, I was looking through Fortnite Tracker, And I wanted to see, like, there's 600 people in every region. So I was like, all those people will be banned, so they'll be removed from the leaderboards. And I was like, I wonder how bad, you're saying NA is the worst because there's so many cheaters and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I wonder how many people have not played. And I was just looking through some of them, and it was like, 20 lost, 20 people off of like EU, 20 people all lost of like Middle East, or not Middle East, sorry, NA Central. NA West lost 80 people. I don't know if that's just because people didn't want to play. Because, maybe it's like overlap. Middle East lost 125 people.
Yes,
600. But I'm also guessing because like their opens was bugged, so maybe people didn't know they qualified for finals.
Yeah.
And
Also, it
like
overlaps
that
with EU as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't play.
Yeah, exactly. Well, did the finals overlap
finals
with you?
was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
an hour
okay,
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be some things like that, but I was like, on that, like 20 people gone out of 600 is pretty goddamn bad. So
Yeah.
All right then.
Keep this format. Stack
yeah.
solos. We love it.
yeah,
We love solos. One thing I want to bring up, we have another game this week, but before we get to it, I did want to bring up the FN comp rankings. I don't know how many of you guys have been seeing this on Twitter lately. There's a website called Fortnite Competitive Rankings, and they have been ranking the all-time players. Like every player of all time, they are essentially just ranking them. And they have a very interesting ranking system. I will say, I'm quite upset. A lot of people now know about it, right? I'm quite upset about it because I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I was the first person to come to find this. And I didn't tweet or say anything about it because I found this website accidentally because I was doing some research for like a top 5 game for our podcast. And I remember, and so what they do, for people who don't know, what they do is every day they've been releasing a new player. So today, the player that they just released is Cheat Show in 19th. Interesting position, but we won't talk about the actual rankings this episode. We'll talk about the actual rankings in the later episode in a couple of weeks. I literally was the first person to find this, and when I found it, they were on like day 270 something. Like, I remember the player it was Razaru. So if you scroll, I don't know if you can scroll down courts to when it's Razaru. That was the day I was like, oh, Razaru is ranked on this. That's funny. So I literally was the first one to find it. I went to the Twitter account. They had like no followers. Nobody in the Fortnite was following them. I literally checked the followers because I was trying to figure out who it was that made this. And I think I had an idea of who it was because of just the one person I was following them. But yeah, I was the first person to find it, and I just didn't say anything because I was like, oh, I'll save this for the top 5 game or something, you know? And then fucking everybody started finding it, and now I'm just a normal person. But yeah, this is interesting. I don't know the specifics of how they're doing this ranking and like, you know, all of that. But when they eventually release like their top 10, we are definitely going to be covering this on the pod.
Yes.
And I'm going to look into finding out more of how they're doing these rankings so we can actually dissect it based off of what they are ranking as well. Because look, there is Razaru, 289. I found this fucking months ago and I didn't say anything, and I wish I would have said anything because then people would have been like, oh, Levin's found the rank thing, you know, whatever. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting because my exposure to this, I've seen a bunch of these tweets popping up on my feed as well. And every single time I see one, I'm like, that's fucking wrong. I'm like, oh. It's just
time.
like, I have like a visceral reaction to it, but then I don't know what they're basing it on. And also, I don't know what the top looks like. And like once, you know, if you're ever going to do like a ranking, like, you know, the top 10 is what really matters. And then under that, it just gets more and more subjective as time goes on for the most part. So like, I really am interested to see, you know, whenever they finish posting all of them and we have number 1 out there, what it's going to look like. Also, surely if you're posting one a day, by the time this has been, you know, by the time number 1's posted, how many tournaments are going to be over by then? Surely the rankings might have changed.
It might have changed, yeah. I mean, I think the funniest thing this to me is like, it's a good ranking, but how Archie's made it to the top 300 is beyond me. He is on the list, which, you know, I love Archie, man. I don't think you're a top 300 Fortnite player of all time. Let's be honest here, but no, I think it's still interesting, and I think these conversations are always like, they can get frustrating at times because some people are like, no, you're wrong, right, but it's like, it's still interesting to see them go about it this way. They said it's like, I think it says like that it's mass-based or data-based analysis they're doing, which, you know, if that's the way they're doing it and they have some formula, like, that's fine. Like, if that's the way they want to do it and it's gonna like set it out to be that way, I think it'll be interesting to look at least.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it more probably on the next episode, the episode after. in general, I'm a fan of people making rankings and doing stuff because it's always interesting conversation, even when I don't agree. Because, like Reese said, I had the same reaction almost every day. I'm like, what? There's no way there's 27 players better than this guy. You know, it's like every single time. But yeah, we'll definitely get into it more as time goes on. But let's wrap it up with everybody's favorite part of the show. It's been a while, but we brought it back finally. The Guess Who game. Harry, take it away.
Yeah, we're finally back. I've been taken off the shelf because we got a nice little graphic. See, we got a graphic.
Let's go.
And also, just to show for everyone, I don't know if you showed it on the last podcast, but yeah, this is what I was about to say. Like the buzzers. We've all got buzzers. So now, as you can see on... Levin's using his buzzer. That's it. We'll just use them. You can hear the buzzers that everyone has. Levin doing some great voiceover.
Thank you. It wasn't
they've
me.
also got 3... Yeah, it wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me.
It sounds like you.
Yeah, it's not me. It's from Fiverr or some shit.
You know how much money you have to pay Levin to just do like a one-word thing, man? Like,
he's on Fiverr apparently, so he just paid himself to do it. Everyone's got 3 lives, so for anyone who hasn't played it, or is new and hasn't seen it before, basically, I'm going to be reading off a player's placements throughout their whole career in FNCS. I'll either say that they didn't make heats, or they made heats, or I'll say their grand finals placements. I'll be doing it in order. The one thing to keep in mind, though, this isn't from their the first FNCS of Chapter 1, Season X, right? It's not from that FNCS, it's from when they started playing tournaments. The first FNCS I can find on their Fortnite tracker. So, we're going to start with the first player. I don't know if it is up. I'll say the region, because obviously last time...
How many players you got?
We've got 3 players. Players. Okay. So that's a perfect amount. So we'll start the first one with EU. Okay, EU player. Keep in mind. So their first FNCS, they placed 10th. After they placed 10th, they placed 13th. After they placed 13th, they placed 41st. And then they finished 18th. And then it was 38th. And then they came first. Anyone? We'll stop now. Any guesses? Any ideas yet? Or do you want me to keep going? So 10th, 13th, 41st, 18th, 38th, 1st.
Right. Keep going.
You gotta keep
next
going.
FNCS, they did not make heats. After they didn't make... Hold on, Levin might...
Mongrel.
No.
No, it's not Mongrel.
Okay, next. After they didn't make heats, they made heats. After that, 25th. And then after 25th...
Mitro.
It is Mitro! It is! It was one of them, man. It's Mitro. So if we want to continue after 25th, they didn't make heats, didn't make heats, and that was it. So
this is Reese's game.
Yeah.
It might have to be.
This is
Reese's
game.
Stats up. He's got the stats on the second monitor.
He has his
spreadsheet up. Man.
Hey, hands up. Yeah. I'll keep the hands up. Wait.
Yeah, I want to see those hands.
All right. Second player is also from EU. So first FNCS.
Oh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, they didn't make heats. You can put them down. First FNCS, they didn't make heats. After that, they also did not make heats. After that, they made heats. Then they came 65th. And then they didn't make heats. And then after that, they came 21st. And then they came 15th. And then they made heats. And after that, they came 3rd, 25th, 8th, and then 20th.
Bruh.
Any guesses at the moment?
11.
Oh.
Is it Nebs?
No, it's not Nebs. Okay. We'll continue. Any other guesses, or we want to continue?
Benji Fishy.
No, not Benji Fishy.
Okay.
Pink?
It's Pink! It's Pink!
I was thinking
that was the other one in my head.
I was like, the third place, I was like, that's gotta be like Stompy,
Nebs,
Pinks,
yeah.
and Nebs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
man.
thought you had it when you said Nebs. That's too
Yeah, because I was like, I knew the first, like I knew the team, but I was just trying to think who on the team like has that placement.
You gave that to me. I'm not gonna lie. As soon as you said Nebs, I was like the third, and then because I'm not gonna give away my secrets. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you how I'm doing this. Fuck that. I'll tell you after this. There you go.
I was thinking of Benji Fishy and Pink conning each other. So Pink was in my mind, but I just chose Benji Fishy for some reason solos.
All right.
Last
Next
one.
one is NA. We're going to end with an NA one. So, first FNCS, they played 7th. After 7th, they finished 18th. And then they finished 19th. And they finished 23rd. And then it was 27th. And it's 14th. And then it's 5th.
11. Booga.
Oh, no, not Booga.
Canada.
Not Canada. Okay. Reese, you want to join in for all 3 guessing?
I can't waste a guess here. I can't waste a guess.
You got an advantage.
I have no idea. So
right. After the 5th place, they made heats.
Yeah, not Canada then, yeah.
And then 33rd.
Jeez.
And then 18th. And then made heats. And then 7th. 35th. And they placed 4th. And then they placed 15th.
11. Clicks.
It's clicks.
Yeah.
It is clicks.
The second 4th came out.
Yeah. And then after the 15th, it's 29th, 23rd, 4th, made heats, 4th, 14th, 4th, 11th.
yeah.
You get it towards the end.
Oh,
But there we go.
All right. That's good.
Everything works
That's
out
cool.
so
That's
game,
cool.
man.
Yeah. Boop, you got it next week. You got next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do some VOD reviews. It's fine.
Reese has gotten the first 2 in both weeks, and then I've gotten the last one.
Yeah.
And then Boop's just
go.
gone.
Boop's
I don't look at the stats. I'm just there for the experience, you know? I'm there for the vibes.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
good
week where
times.
Boop just lights it up, just gets all free.
If
you
it's
know?
recent, you know, I got you, man.
Yeah.
There'll be some cash cup placements instead of
Who
FNCS
won
placements.
Cash Cup last week? You know, like, I got you on that one.
I've
Yeah.
got no shot. Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, good episode. We had a bunch of games. We may have a Christmas episode for you guys. We're going to try and give you a Christmas ep, but if we don't, Merry Christmas. We love ya. Thank you for supporting the podcast this year. It's been a fun year of episodes so far. And we're going to keep trying our best to just improve the show and make it as enjoyable for you as possible. And yeah, we appreciate it.
So we're getting rid of Harry,
support.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll bring someone else on as a fourth. But yeah, appreciate you guys, as always, for listening. If you've made it this far in the episode, comment down below, jingle bells. Just jingle bells. There you go.
Just jingle bells, nothing else.
Jingle bells.
Nothing else.
All right. Thank you for listening. Ciao.
Bye.